Chapter 95. When Qin Haodong arrived at the exhibition center, he found that just as Lin Momo had said, the Lin's group was crowded with buyers, while the Feng's group was deserted with only a few guests. He stepped into the Feng's group and found that there were not only fewer guests, but also fewer staff than last time. At first he thought he would be recognized by the staff here, but after walking for a long time no one looked at him. In fact, it was not strange. When he came here last time there were so many guests and the staff were so busy that few people noticed him at all. And when he was in the limelight later, he was surrounded by many Jade businessmen and Feng Tianda's bodyguards, so the staff could not get close to him at all. After walking around the venue, there were less than 10 guests in the whole venue. He walked through the 4 areas of A, B, C and D and found that different from last time. There was a large open space at the end of the venue, which was also full of raw jade gemstones. However, a simple isolation belt was set up, with the words "Guest Stop" written on the side. It seemed that no one was allowed to enter. Looking at these new stones, Qin Haodong guessed that they should be the new raw jade gemstones from Myanmar that Lin Momo had mentioned. But this made him even more confused. Generally, businessmen would try their best to advertise their new goods and strive to let as many people know about them as possible. However, the Feng's group not only did not advertise, but also put the new raw jade gemstones aside, and even did not allow customers to see and buy them. What was going on? The more unreasonable something was, the more secrets it must have. Qin Haodong pretended to choose raw jade gemstones in Area D, but in fact his attention was always fixed on the raw jade gemstones in the isolation zone. Soon he found several strange places. Maybe because of the bad business, no staff came to greet him after he came in for a long time. It seemed that they did not care about the raw jade gemstones outside. However, there were often people walking back and forth in the isolation zone, and it seemed that they were guarding the raw jade gemstones. And these people all used Burmese language, and it seemed that they were Burmese, not Jiangnan people of Huaxia. What was going on? Were these raw jade gemstones of high quality, so they were guarded so carefully? But in the end, Qin Haodong found that these raw jade gemstones had almost no spiritual qi, and they were not high-quality Burmese raw jade gemstones at all. This made him feel more and more strange. Based on the relationship between the Jade House and the Feng's group, they should have sent a large number of high-quality raw jade stones to help them solve their predicament. Why did they send so many rotten stones here? No wonder the Feng's group didn't do anything after the 2 batches of raw gemstones were shipped in. It seemed that they also knew very well that if they put these inferior raw gemstones into the market, they wouldn't be able to recover the current disadvantage. On the contrary, they would make the Feng's group more passive. But since they knew that these stones were not good, why did they transport them from Myanmar to Huaxiu? With these questions in mind, Qin Haodong came to a place closest to the quarantine area and observed the inferior raw jade gemstones again. Due to the strength of his primordial spirit, he could clearly sense the aura emitted by these ores. Very soon he discovered something wrong. Although these raw gemstones contain very little spiritual energy, most of them exuded the aura of nature. They were naturally formed stones. However, about 10% of the raw gemstones did not have this kind of aura. There was only one answer. These stones were artificially synthesized. What was the purpose of transporting synthetic stones to the raw gemstone exhibition? There was no doubt that there was something wrong with these stones, but he didn't know what the problem was. It seemed that if he wanted to find the answer, he had to get a stone and study it carefully. Thinking of this, Qin Haodong chose a suitable opportunity. When the other staff were not paying attention to him, he quickly walked into the quarantine area and came to the raw gemstones. "Hey, what are you doing? Who let you in? Don't you see the sign outside that says no guests enter?" At this time, a staff member in his 20s saw Qin Haodong and immediately ran over. He was very angry. The boss had made it very clear that once someone entered here, not only would they pack up and leave, but they wouldn't get a penny at the same time. Thinking of this, he suddenly pushed Qin Haodong's shoulder and shouted angrily, "Get out of here." Qin Haodong was looking for an opportunity to get close to the raw jade gemstones. He took a few steps back and suddenly fell on the pile of raw gemstones behind him. He pretended to be angry and said, "I'm here to choose raw jade gemstones. Why did you hit me?" The staff cried, "What are you choosing? Don't you see the sign outside that says no guests enter? Do you think I'm illiterate? There are obviously people over there. Why can't you let me in? Qin Haodong said and raised his finger in another direction. The staff member was shocked. Could it be that he had been distracted for a moment, and someone else had entered? He quickly looked in the direction of Qin Haodong's finger, and Qin Haodong took the opportunity to put a strange stone under his body into the storage ring. After seeing that Qin Haodong was talking about those patrolling Burmese people, the staff member was relieved and said, "Get out of here. They are our people, not guests." "Fine. Haven't you heard that the customer is the king? I can buy raw jade gemstones anywhere with money. It's your Feng's group that will lose." Qin Haodong stood up from the ground and left angrily. "What's going on?" One of the leaders walked over. The staff member quickly said with a smile, "Nothing. This guy can't read. I've already asked him to get out." The steward looked at Qin Haodong, who was empty-handed, and did not suspect anything. He turned back and said, "Keep your eyes open. If you let anyone in again, you'll get out of here." Yes, I'll pay attention to it in the future." The staff member hurriedly agreed. The steward snorted and turned away. Back in the car, Qin Haodong thought of something and a stone the size of a volleyball appeared in his hand. He held the stone and looked at it, but did not find anything wrong with it. But one thing was certain. This stone was definitely synthetic, but the technology was very advanced. Ordinary people could not see it at all. If he had not felt the breath of nature, he would not have found it. The cost of making such a realistic fake stone must be very high. He did not think that someone would be so bored to make a fake stone for fun. But what was the problem? Since he could not see it from the outside, he would dig deeper. He stretched out 2 fingers and pinched a bulge of the stone. He felt it and felt that this synthetic stone was not as hard as natural ones, and the fault lines were completely different from natural ones. What was the problem? While thinking, Qin Haodong gently twisted his fingers and pinched the small piece of gravel he had just pinched into powder. He raised his hand and looked at his fingers. The powder was white. Suddenly he had an idea. Last time the drug dealer had chemically fused drugs in the suitcase. Just now Nalan Wuxia had said that a large number of drugs had entered Jiangnan City, but she did not know where they were hidden. Combining these 2 points and the fake stone in his hand, the answer was almost obvious. It was very likely that the strange stone in his hand was made of white powder. Thinking of this, he was excited. He was so excited that he drove straight to the Jiangnan crime squad. At the same time, he called Nalan Wuxia. "Officer, are you still in the crime squad?" "No, I brought people out to investigate the case." "What's the matter?" Nalan Wuxia asked. "Come back quickly. I have something good for you." "Something for me?" Nalan Wuxia was slightly stunned and asked, "What is it?" "I'll give you a big precious egg," Qin Haodong said and laughed. For Nalan Wuxia, who was eager to solve the case, this strange stone was definitely a big precious egg. Nalan Wuxia said, "I'm busy. Don't joke. If we don't find out where these drugs go as soon as possible, once they flow into the market, it will be troublesome. It will bring great harm to our country." "I'm not joking with you. This thing is very important to you. Come back quickly. I'll be at the crime squad soon." Qin Haodong hung up the phone directly. He believed that Nalan Wuxia would come back. Sure enough, as soon as he parked the car at the crime squad, Nalan Wuxia rushed back in a police car. After she got out of the car, she said to Qin Haodong with dissatisfaction, "Why did you ask me to come back? Did I have an accident when I flirted with girls again?" "What are you talking about? I'm an honest man." "How dare you say you're an honest man? Tell me, when did you have an accident without a woman by your side?" Qin Haodong thought for a moment and realized that it was true. He said with a little embarrassment, "Well, I'm too handsome. I can't help it." "All right, cut the crap. Why did you ask me to come back?" "I told you that I have something good for you," Qin Haodong said as he took the stone out of the car and gave it to Nalan Wuxia. "You asked me to come back in a hurry, so you gave me a stone. Are you sure you're not playing April Fool with me?" Nalan Wuxia thought that Qin Haodong was playing with her. She really wanted to throw the stone at Qin Haodong's head. Qin Haodong said, "I'm not joking. I'm telling you, this is a precious egg." Nalan Wuxia saw that he was serious. She took the stone and carefully fiddled with it in her hand, but she found nothing different. "What precious egg?" It's just a stone. Nalan Wuxia said discontentedly. I don't have time to joke with you. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Qin Haodong said. The thing you're looking for is in this stone. Where are you going? What do you mean? Nalan Wuxia was extremely smart. In addition, she had personally experienced the case of the suitcase drug trafficking last time. She thought for a moment and her expression changed greatly. She cried, You mean there are drugs in this stone? Qin Haodong said, I guess so. Hurry up and find someone to test it. You'll know the results soon. I'll do it now. Nalan Wuxia rushed into the crime squad with the stone in her arms and sent it to the laboratory of the technical department. The test of this kind of drug was very simple. A few minutes later, she ran out again with the stone in her arms. She cried excitedly, Tell me, where did this thing come from? You haven't told me the result yet. Compared with Nalan Wuxia, he was much calmer. I've just tested it. This stone contains a large amount of high concentration of heroin. That is to say, your guess is right. There is a large amount of drugs in the stone. Seeing that his guess was confirmed, Qin Haodong secretly admired that these drug dealers were really cunning. They even came up with such a tricky way to transport drugs. If Lin Momo hadn't noticed the abnormality of Lin's group, if she hadn't met him, if she hadn't happened to get the storage ring, she really wouldn't have found it. However, the net of heaven has a long arm. Under a strange combination of factors, these people finally fell into his hands. Chapter 96. The Raw Gemstone Exhibition of the Feng's Group. Qin Haodong didn't hide anything. He briefly told her how he found the stones. He only hid the storage ring and said that he stole the stones when the guards were not paying attention. Nalan Wuxia naturally wouldn't doubt it. She said, Come on, let's go there now. Don't let them notice anything wrong and move the stones. Then she hurried to Qin Haodong's car. Qin Haodong opened the door and sat in the car. But he still said, Just the two of us. Isn't that too little? Let's detain the goods first. I'll call Captain Wang right away. Nalan Wuxia said. She motioned Qin Haodong to drive quickly. Then she took out her mobile phone and called Wang Jianfeng. Such a big case needed the support of the armed police. She was only the deputy captain of the crime squad. She didn't have the power in this aspect. She could only report as soon as possible. As for Fang Chuanxiong, the leader of the special task force, it should be Wang Jianfeng who reported to him. Wang Jianfeng was immediately nervous when he heard that important clues of drugs had been found. He first mobilized a large number of armed police to the exhibition center and reported to Fang Chuanxiong. In the exhibition hall, Feng Tianda and a bearded young man were inspecting the raw gemstones in the isolation area. The bearded man was called Meng Tai. He was Meng Gang's younger brother. He was also the right-hand man of Zhou Qianhu, the leader of the Jade Gang. He came to Jiangnan this time and was fully responsible for all the affairs of the Jade House. Different from his rough appearance, Meng Tai's inspection was very detailed. After a careful round, he called the supervisor over. He asked, Is there anything unusual today? No, everything is normal. The supervisor answered respectfully. Even the boss Feng Tianda was very respectful to this bearded man from Burma. He naturally had to treat him with care. Has anyone else come in? Meng Tai asked again. The supervisor hesitated and said, A young man came just now. She thought it was just a pile of rotten stones. Even if someone came in and took a look, nothing would be missing. There was no need to hide. Meng Tai's face darkened. He cried, What? Didn't I tell you that no one could come in? Don't be angry. It's like this. The supervisor quickly explained. That young man is illiterate and didn't understand the warning sign at the door. That's why he barged in. But we chased him out as soon as he came in. Took less than a minute. Meng Tai's expression softened a little. He asked again what kind of person came in. The supervisor said, It's a young man in his 20s. He looks fair and tender like a pretty boy. Gigolo? Feng Tianda didn't speak at first, but after hearing the supervisor's words, he thought of something and asked, Tell me again, what does the man look like? About 1.8 meters tall, pretty handsome, about 20 years old. The supervisor suddenly pointed in the direction of the entrance. Boss, that's him. He's here again. Feng Tianda looked in the direction of the finger and saw Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxia walking side by side. Thinking of his 100 million yuan of private money, Feng Tianda said with hatred, "It's him. The toy boy is here again." "Brother Feng, do you know this person?" Meng Tai asked. "His name is Qin Haodong. Your brother Meng Gang was sent to the police station because of him. It's this guy. I'm going to kill him now." Meng Tai's face suddenly changed, and his eyes were full of hatred. He heard in Burma that his brother was sent to the police station because of a young man, and it seemed that he would be sentenced to 8 or 10 years. When he heard the news, he immediately wanted to find Qin Haodong for revenge, but he was stopped by Zhou Tianhu. Zhou Tianhu told him not to act rashly for the time being, and to find Qin Haodong after the important task was completed. "Brother Meng, don't act rashly for the time being." Feng Tianda was rational. He grabbed Meng Tai and said in a low voice, "This is Huaxia. If you want to take revenge, you have to do it secretly. There are too many people here, and the woman next to him is a police officer." Meng Tai hesitated for a while, and finally suppressed his hatred. After all, Zhou Tianhu had repeatedly told him that he couldn't let anything affect the task, or he would be killed. While they were talking, Qin Haodong and Nalan Wuxia had walked into the quarantine area. Feng Tianda walked up to them, and he intentionally ignored Qin Haodong. He said to Nalan Wuxia, "Miss Nalan, we're not open to guests here. If you want to buy raw jade stones, please go outside." Qin Haodong didn't feel dissatisfied because of Feng Tianda's neglect. He went up and said happily, "Mr. Feng, why don't you open so many raw jade stones to guests? Wouldn't it be a waste to keep them?" Feng Tianda stared at him and said, "Qin Haodong, don't you think you're meddling too much? The stones are mine. I can sell them if I want, and I won't sell them if I don't want. It has nothing to do with you. You're not welcome here. Get out of here." Qin Haodong smiled slightly. "Are you sure these stones are all yours? Don't regret it." His words meant something. Drug control was very strict in Huaxia. The amount of drugs contained in that stone was enough to kill Feng Tianda. Feng Tianda had a bad feeling when he saw Qin Haodong, but he didn't want to lose face, so he said firmly, "They're mine." "What's wrong? Are you going to take them away?" Nalan Wuxia said, "Feng Tianda, I'm not here to buy stones. I'm here to inform you that these raw jade stones have been seized." "What?" Feng Tianda and Meng Tai's faces changed at the same time. Feng Tianda said coldly, "They're just raw jade stones. Why should they be seized? Don't tell me that rocks can break the law." Nalan Wuxia said, "You just need to carry out my order. I don't need to explain to you for now." "Miss Nalan, isn't your authority a bit too much? I'm a legal businessman. You should serve me. Now you just seized my goods. You need to give me an explanation, right?" Feng Tianda really didn't take a deputy captain of the crime squad seriously. If it weren't for Nalan Wuxia's special identity, he would have kicked her out long ago. Nalan Wuxia handed a piece of A4 paper to Feng Tianda and said, "Look, this is the warrant of detention. You must execute it immediately. Now let your people leave the site, and then gather them together to wait for the interrogation of the public security organ. I'll give you an explanation when the case is clear." Qin Haodong nodded secretly. This girl looked like she was in a hurry, but she was actually quite organized. She had prepared the warrant before she came. Feng Tianda glanced at the certificate in Nalan Wuxia's hand, and then said with a look of sudden enlightenment, "I understand what's going on." He raised his hand and pointed at Qin Haodong. "This man is Lin Momo's toy boy. You came with him, obviously to suppress our Feng's group for Lin's group. Your behavior is illegal business competition. I'll report it to your superior." Nalan Wuxia said, "You can report it, but you have to carry out my order now." Feng Tianda said, "I said it's illegal business competition, so I can't carry it out." Nalan Wuxia's face darkened and she said angrily, "Feng Tianda, are you going against the law? It's too big for me to bear." Feng Tianda said, "You'd better leave now or I'll kick you out." Nalan Wuxia said angrily, "Feng Tianda, kick me out." Feng Tianda sneered, "Nalan Wuxia, you've gone too far. Even a rabbit bites when it's anxious." Then he turned around and waved his hand, "Brothers, come out. Please ask Miss Nalan to leave." As soon as he finished his words, a group of men in black immediately surrounded him. Among them, 20 were from the Jade Gang in Burma brought by Meng Tai, and the other 30 were the bodyguards of the Feng family. All of them looked ferocious as if they were demons. They did not take Nalan Wuxia's identity seriously at all. Feng Tianda said proudly, Nalan Wuxia, I know you and this toy boy have some skills, but 2 fists can't defeat 4 hands. No matter how good you are at fighting, can you beat the people behind me? He was really confident today. The bodyguards of the Feng family and the Jade Gang were all elites, much more powerful than ordinary people. Qin Haodong couldn't beat so many people no matter how good he was at fighting. Qin Haodong smiled and said, Master Feng, are we going to compete in numbers? Seeing Qin Haodong smile, Feng Tianda got angry and yelled, Yes, so what? I have more people than you. This is the territory of the Feng family. It's not a place for a toy boy like you to be arrogant. I don't think so. Qin Haodong smiled playfully. Nalan Wuxia was here on behalf of the crime squad, and this Feng Tianda dared to compete with the police in numbers. He suspected that there was something wrong with his brain. Boy, you still don't believe it? Feng Tianda waved his hand to the people behind him and said, Brothers, let's teach this toy boy a lesson. As soon as he finished speaking, they heard a siren before they started. Then more than a dozen police cars drove into the exhibition center, followed by 4 large military trucks. The police cars rushed into the isolation area and surrounded the people in the center. Feng Tianda was dumbfounded. He had just said that they had more people and then a large group of people came. What made his heart tremble the most was the 100 armed policemen who jumped down from the 4 military trucks. These people were fully armed and armed with live ammunition. The sound of their leather boots hitting the ground made the ground tremble, giving off a sense of heaviness. Qin Haodong smiled at Feng Tianda and said, What do you think? Do you want to do it, Master Feng? Do you want to compete in numbers? Feng Tianda was speechless. He didn't have the courage to fight against the armed police. The armed police of Huaxia were famous for being elites. His men couldn't compete with them at all. Meng Tai took 2 steps forward and whispered in Feng Tianda's ear, What should we do? Don't be nervous. Our Feng family has been in the south of the Yangtze River for so many years. We can't be easily bullied. After saying that, Feng Tianda quickly took out his cell phone from his pocket and dialed a number. Uncle Lu? This is Tianda. Lin's group colluded with your crime squad. A lot of people came to detain my legal goods. Please come and have a look. He didn't know what the other side said, but Feng Tianda's nervousness disappeared when he hung up the phone. He looked proud again. These people were brought by Wang Jianfeng. After he organized the encirclement, he strode to Nalan Wuxia and Qin Haodong. After knowing the situation from Nalan Wuxia, he said to Feng Tianda, Mr. Feng, your raw gemstone exhibition is suspected of a drug trafficking case. Now you and your men need to go to the crime squad for investigation. Chapter 97. Wang Jianfeng said coldly, If Mr. Feng thinks there is something wrong with our law enforcement, you can report it to your superior according to the procedure. But now you must cooperate with us, or you will be punished for obstructing official business. Feng Tianda said, Wang Jianfeng, don't try to pressure me with official business. You are just a captain of the criminal police. You have no right to speak in Jiangnan. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and get out of here with your people. Otherwise, when Deputy Bureau Chief Lu comes, you'll have to bear the consequences. Who is Deputy Director Lu? Qin Haodong asked Nalan Wuxia in a low voice. Nalan Wuxia said, he is the Deputy Director of the Jiangnan Municipal Public Security Bureau. It is said that he has a close relationship with Feng's group. Oh, Qin Haodong understood. No wonder this guy became so confident after a phone call. It turned out that he had found someone behind him. He said to Feng Tianda, Young Master Feng, you just had more people. Now you want to see whose background is stronger? Feng Tianda said, so what? I'm telling you, pretty boy, you are not good enough to do anything to our Feng family in Jiangnan. Wang Jianfeng frowned slightly. If it was really Deputy Director Lu who came, he would be much lower in rank. It would be a bit difficult. Feng Tianda seemed to see his hesitation. He shouted arrogantly, Wang Jianfeng, listen to me. Take your people away or you may lose your job. Just then, a black sedan drove in at high speed. It's Director Lu. Feng Tianda ran to open the door happily. A middle-aged man in his 50s came out of the car. It was Lu Bingzhong, the deputy director of the Jiangnan Public Security Bureau. Uncle Lu, you finally came. I was bullied by your men. Feng Tianda hurriedly began to complain. I see. Lu Bingzhong had always been on good terms with the Feng family, and secretly got a lot of benefits. Now that the Feng family was in trouble, he couldn't ignore it. Besides, these were all his men. He stepped to Wang Jianfeng and Nalan Wuxia, with his hands behind his back, and said with great authority, "What's the matter? Who asked you to come? Don't you know that arbitrary law enforcement will affect the normal operation of the enterprise?" Nalan Wuxia was not afraid of Lu Bingzhong at all. She said, "Director Lu, you just arrived here and haven't understood the situation yet. How can you say that we are enforcing the law randomly?" Lu Bingzhong's expression froze. He didn't expect that Nalan Wuxia wouldn't give him face in front of so many people. He said with a sullen face, "You didn't report such a big operation to me. Isn't this arbitrary law enforcement?" Nalan Wuxia said, "Director Lu, have you forgotten that Captain Feng has been assigned to command the criminal police unit these days? He doesn't need to report to you at all." Lu Bingzhong was speechless for a while. Just as Nalan Wuxia had said, recently, in order to concentrate on solving cases involving the Jiangnan Criminal Police Unit, had been assigned by the Municipal Public Security Bureau to Feng Chuanxiong for the drug case. However, after all, he had been in officialdom for a long time, so he quickly said, "No matter who is in charge, there must be evidence to solve a case. Do you have any evidence? Besides, you're dealing with a drug case. Why are you here at the raw gemstone market? Could it be that there are drugs in the stone?" Nalan Wuxia said, "Director Lu, you're right. There are indeed drugs in the stone." Then she took out a piece of test result and gave it to Lu Bingzhong. "This is the test result of the raw jade gemstone made by our criminal police unit half an hour ago. There are a lot of heroin in it." Meng Tai's expression suddenly changed. Meng Tai's face suddenly changed. He knew the details of the raw jade gemstones better than anyone else, but he didn't know when the criminal police team took the samples and when did they do the test. It should be noted that this place was strictly guarded and no outsiders were allowed to enter. Lu Bingzhong's face also darkened when he got the test result. He turned to look at Feng Tianda. Feng Tianda yelled, "Nalan Wuxia, you even made a fake test result to help Lin's group and this toy boy? Nonsense. Who said that my test result is fake?" Feng Tianda yelled angrily, "Tell me, when did you get the evidence from me? And who saw you do the test?" Lu Bingzhong seemed to have something on him. He turned to Nalan Wuxia and said, "Yes, Captain Nalan. Is our evidence collection procedure legal? When did you get the evidence from here?" Well, Nalan Wuxia was speechless for a moment. She couldn't say that the stone was stolen from here. Wang Jianfeng said, "Director Lu, it's simple. There are so many stones here. We can just take one back for the test. If it's true, we'll handle it according to the law. If it's fake, Captain Nalan and I will apologize to Feng's group together." With Lu Bingzhong by his side, Feng Tianda was much more confident. He yelled, "Nonsense! What do you think Feng's group is? Are you kidding? What you've done has caused a great negative impact on Feng's group. You must take him away and apologize." Lu Bingzhong said with a sullen face, "Yes, we have repeatedly stressed that we should serve the enterprise. Look at what you're doing now. You came here to arrest people without conclusive evidence. You don't look like a policeman. Take him back and apologize to Feng's group publicly." Well, Wang Jianfeng was in a dilemma. From the bottom of his heart, he trusted Qin Haodong very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have surrounded the whole raw gemstone market with so many people. Lu Bingzhong was originally his immediate superior. Now that Lu Bingzhong stopped him from moving, he really didn't have a good solution. Seeing that his subordinates didn't listen to his orders, Lu Bingzhong was not happy. He said coldly, "Captain Wang, don't you even listen to my orders? Don't forget that you're a policeman. It's your duty to obey your superior's orders. Do as I say." Now Wang Jianfeng was in a dilemma. If he took Qin Haodong back like this, all his previous efforts would be wasted, and it would be impossible to solve the case. But if he didn't take Qin Haodong back, he had to obey Lu Bingzhong's order. Nalan Wuxia opened her mouth, but she didn't say anything. Although her Nailan family was not afraid of Lu Bingzhong after all, the rank of the position was there. And there was also Wang Jianfeng in front of her. As the deputy captain, she naturally couldn't make a decision for the captain. Seeing that Lu Bingzhong had the situation under control, Feng Tianda showed a proud look. Meng Tai behind him also breathed a sigh of relief. Director Lu, are you sure you want to protect the Feng family? It must not be easy for you to get to where you are today. Don't choose the wrong way, or there's no medicine for regret in this world. It was Qin Haodong who spoke. Wang Jianfeng and Nailan Wuxia couldn't say anything, so he naturally stood up. Lu Bingzhong frowned when he saw a young man in his 20s daring to speak to him in such a tone. Who are you? What do you do? My name is Qin Haodong, a doctor. Feng Tianda seized the opportunity and whispered in Lu Bingzhong's ear, Uncle Lu, this is Lin Momo's toy boy. What happened today is all because of him. Lu Bingzhong looked straight at Qin Haodong and said in a cold voice, I'm the deputy director of the Public Security Bureau. I don't need you to teach me how to do things. Qin Haodong shook his head and said, as a deputy director, you can't distinguish right from wrong. You will regret it if you protect the criminal. Lu Bingzhong was furious and shouted to Wang Jianfeng, this man is spreading lies and slandering the deputy director. I order you to arrest him immediately and punish him severely. He was really angry. A little doctor dared to look down on him, the director. He had to teach him a lesson. But as soon as he finished his words, someone shouted behind him, Director Lu, you are so powerful. He looked back and saw Fang Chuanxiong, the leader of the special task force, walking over. Leader Fang, you are here. Lu Bingzhong hurried to greet him. Although he was the deputy director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau, Fang Chuanxiong was from the police department. His rank was one level higher than the director of the Jiangnan Public Security Bureau, let alone the deputy director. He just thought that he had the highest position and could control everything, but the situation immediately changed when Fang Chuanxiong came. Fang Chuanxiong walked over and ignored Lu Bingzhong. Instead, he stepped forward and said to Qin Haodong, Brother Qin, you have helped me a lot this time. After this case is solved, I will ask for your credit. These words were completely from the bottom of his heart. Although he was the team leader of the task force and had a high position and power, he also bore great pressure at the same time. There was news from the Golden Triangle that the drugs had entered Huaxia, but he had no clue at all. He had long been anxious. He just got the report from Wang Jianfeng that Qin Haodong had found the drugs into Jiangnan City. He was so happy and hurried over. But there was some traffic jam on the road, so he came a little late. Lu Bingzhong next to him was a little dumbfounded. He knew what kind of person Fang Chuanxiong was. He had a high position and was extremely arrogant. Since he came to Jiangnan City, he had not even been so polite to the director. He did not expect that he would be so respectful to the young man in front of him. Didn't they say that he was just a little doctor? How could this be? Qin Haodong said, Brother Fang, I would have been arrested if you had come a little later. Lu Bingzhong had just bullied him. Now that there was a suitable opportunity, he naturally did not mind stabbing him. Fang Chuanxiong said, Brother Qin, as long as I am here, no one dares to hurt you. After that, he turned to Lu Bingzhong and said, Director Lu, you were there at the meeting a few days ago, weren't you? Now the Jiangnan Criminal Police Unit is under my command. Why are you here to give orders? Well, Lu Bingzhong was a little embarrassed, but he had to bite the bullet and said, I just think that their procedures are a little improper, so, before he could finish, Fang Chuanxiong interrupted him, Director Lu, you said that their procedures are improper. Do you think it is proper for you to intervene in the case? Well, cold sweat immediately covered Lu Bingzhong's forehead. It was said that a higher rank could crush a person. Fang Chuanxiong was several ranks higher than him, and he did violate the rules first. Forget it. Let's call it a day. I will truthfully report it to the higher-ups later. After that, Fang Chuanxiong turned to Wang Jianfeng and said, Captain Wang, let's start. Yes. Wang Jianfeng answered in a loud voice. The depression that had accumulated in his chest just now was swept away. Feng Tianda was a little confused. His big backer was trampled under the foot of the blink of an eye. He really couldn't understand how a toy boy like Qin Haodong knew a big shot like Fang Chuanxiong. He looked at Lu Bingzhong again, trying to figure out what to do next. But Lu Bingzhong just lowered his head and ignored him. It was no wonder that Lu Bingzhong couldn't even protect himself at this time, let alone the Feng's group. With Fang Chuanxiong's identity and status, if he really reported Lu Bingzhong to the higher-ups, he would probably lose his position as the deputy director. After receiving Fang Chuanxiong's order, Wang Jianfeng and Nailan Wuxia immediately organized to arrest the people at the scene. Seeing that the situation was over, Meng Tai shouted, "Stop, all of you, or I will blow you up." Chapter 98. Meng Tai's action was out of everyone's expectation. Everyone was shocked. Even Feng Tianda, who had been with Meng Tai the whole time, didn't expect that Meng Tai had so many bombs on him. He was so scared that he hurried to dodge. Lu Bingzhong was in a cold sweat. He believed Feng Tianda's words and thought that Lin's group was here to suppress Feng's group, so he stood up for the Fengs. But the situation in front of him didn't seem to be that simple. He had been a basic policeman step by step, so he was very experienced. He immediately realized that something was wrong. If what Qin Haodong said was true, that there were drugs hidden in all the stones, his face turned pale when he thought of what he had just done. He couldn't afford the consequences. The policemen led by Fang Chuanxiong were also nervous. They thought that they could catch the criminals once and for all with so many policemen. They didn't expect that this would happen. "Step back, everyone. No one is allowed to shoot without my order." Fang Chuanxiong showed the qualities of an excellent commander. Although he was shocked, he didn't panic. He ordered his men to spread out, but he didn't withdraw the encirclement. Meng Tai laughed arrogantly and shouted, "How about it? Are you all scared? Let me tell you, I have a bomb on my waist. It's useless to dodge it. As long as I press this remote control, we'll all go to heaven together." Fang Chuanxiong said, "If we all die, you won't live either. It's not good for anyone. Hand over the remote control and we can talk." Meng Tai laughed again. "Do you think I'm a kid? If I hand over the remote control, I won't have any bargaining chips at all. What the hell do you want?" Fang Chuanxiong looked calm, but he was actually very nervous. It was good to solve the drug case, but the first step was to ensure the safety of his men. If there were too many casualties, the loss would outweigh the gain. "I'm an easy person to talk to. I have 2 conditions. First, find a transport helicopter immediately and let us brothers leave. Second, give me that toy boy named Qin Haodong. How dare he put my brother in prison? I'll kill him today." Qin Haodong didn't know that the bearded man in front of him was Meng Gang's brother until now. No wonder he looked familiar. They did look a little alike. Fang Chuanxiong's face was so gloomy that it seemed like it could drip water. Today's matter was indeed very serious. After a moment of contemplation, he said, "I can consider the first condition, but it will take time. I don't have the authority to mobilize the helicopter, so I have to ask the higher-ups. The second condition is definitely out of the question. I can't hand Brother Qin over to you." After listening to his words, Nailan Wuxia could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. If Fang Chuanxiong really considered handing over Qin Haodong, she would have stood up and opposed it immediately. Qin Haodong nodded secretly. Although he didn't take Meng Tai seriously at all, Fang Chuanxiong's performance was not bad, and he deserved to be friends with him. "Do you really think I don't dare to press the remote?" Meng Tai's face twisted and a crazy look flashed across his face. "Let me tell you, it's worth it to exchange my worthless life for all of you. Hurry up and give me that pretty boy with the surname Qin, or we'll all die together." Feng Tianda was the closest to Meng Tai. If he really pressed the bomb, Meng Tai would be the first to die, and he would be the second. He had always been afraid of death. Looking at the flashing receiver on Meng Tai's waist all the time, he was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly said, "Brother Meng, let's talk it over. Don't be impulsive." Meng Tai said, "There's nothing to talk about. My parents died when I was a child and my brother brought me up. Now this pretty boy sent my brother to prison, and I have to kill him." Speaking of this, he shouted to Fang Chuanxiong, "Don't say that I'm heartless. You have 1 minute to give me that pretty boy, or we'll all die together." Feng Tianda shouted to them, "Hurry up and give me that pretty boy, or we'll all die together." Nailan Wuxia immediately came to Fang Chuanxiong and said, "Leader Fang, Dr. Qin is here to help us. We can't hand him over no matter what. Wang Jianfeng followed and said, Yes, Leader Feng, we have to ensure Dr. Qin's safety no matter what. Lu Bingzhong said, But this guy looks like a lunatic. What if he presses the remote if we really don't hand him over? The casualties would be too great. We have more than 100 lives here. Naylan Wuxia said, It's useless to be afraid of death now. We'll all die together. Wang Jianfeng said in a low voice, We can't hand him over. How about we try the snipers? This operation was arranged very carefully. Before they came in, they had already set up snipers at the commanding heights in case of emergencies. Fang Chuanxiong shook his head and said, We can't use the snipers. Even if we blow his head, we can't guarantee that he won't press the remote before he dies. It's too risky. Wang Jianfeng said, Then what should we do? Why don't we take a gamble? His bomb might not be real anyway. I'll be the first to arrest him. No, his bomb is real, said Qin Haodong. He did feel a great threat from Meng Tai, so he was sure that the bomb on Meng Tai's waist was real. He said to Fang Chuanxiong and the others, Don't worry. Since he asked me to go there, I'll go and have a look. After that, he turned around and walked to Meng Tai. Naylan Wuxia grabbed his arm and said, No, you'll die if you go there. Qin Haodong was very touched by the violent policewoman's concern. He smiled and said, Don't worry. He just wants to have a friendly chat with me. That's impossible. He'll kill you if you go there. Naylan Wuxia said anxiously, He's just a small fry in Burma. He can't kill me. Qin Haodong said and pushed Naylan Wuxia away, striding toward Meng Tai. Big Beard, here I come. He greeted Meng Tai cheerfully as he walked, as if he had met an old friend that he hadn't seen for many years. Boy, you killed my big brother. I'm not Meng Tai if I don't blow your head up today. After that, Meng Tai held the remote control with his left hand and pulled out a shiny black pistol from the back of his waist with his right hand. He pointed at Qin Haodong's head. All of a sudden, everyone became nervous. Qin Haodong was only 4 or 5 meters away from Meng Tai. At such a close distance, even a god couldn't escape if he shot. There was a flash of excitement in Feng Tianda's eyes. He hated Qin Haodong the most. He wanted Meng Tai to shoot as soon as possible. Naylan Wuxia looked at Qin Haodong's back nervously. Her heaving chest showed how anxious she was at the moment. Qin Haodong still had a smile on his face. He kept walking forward and said to Meng Tai cheerfully, Didn't your mother tell you not to play with guns? Give me the gun now. As soon as he said that, the nervous people's glasses fell to the ground. They thought, Is this man crazy? Meng Tai pointed a gun at his head, and he still asked for the gun? Fang Chuanxiong and the others were also stunned. They couldn't figure out what Qin Haodong was going to do. When everyone was thinking about it, they were shocked again. Meng Tai handed the pistol to Qin Haodong obediently. What the hell? What's going on? Wang Jianfeng rubbed his eyes hard, thinking he saw it wrong. Feng Tianda was dumbfounded. He thought Qin Haodong was crazy, but now he thought Meng Tai was crazy. Naylan Wuxia opened her mouth wide and stared at the scene. She really didn't know how Qin Haodong did it. Did he really know this bearded man? It was impossible. The hatred Meng Tai showed just now was real. After taking the pistol, Qin Haodong said to Meng Tai, Give me the remote control too. After he said that, Meng Tai really handed the remote control in his hand to Qin Haodong, like an obedient baby. Qin Haodong took the remote control and put it on a raw stone nearby. Then he smashed it with the pistol. After dealing with the bomb, he threw the pistol back to Naylan Wuxia. Then he grabbed Meng Tai's beard and slapped him hard on the face. Son of a bitch. How dare you come to Huaxia and point a gun at my head? How dare you take revenge on me? The onlookers were completely dumbfounded. The scene in front of them was so weird. Meng Tai, who was aggressive before, first handed over the gun, then the remote control. Now he was beaten like a dog. Was this the legendary B*TCH? After being beaten by Qin Haodong, Meng Tai woke up from the mind manipulating, but he had no chance to fight back. Fang Chuanxiong was the first to come to himself. He shouted, Arrest them now. Wang Jianfeng and Naylan Wuxia took the lead. They arrested Meng Tai's men and the people of the Feng's group, including Feng Tianda. Feng Tianda was handcuffed after he resisted for a while. He shouted to Lu Bingzhong. Uncle Lu, help me now. Lu Bingzhong turned his head and walked out of the hall. He was sure that he couldn't protect himself after such a big thing happened. His top priority was to find a way out for himself. He had no time to care about Feng Tianda. Seeing Meng Tai and Feng Tianda were handcuffed, his men didn't dare to resist anymore. They were all taken to the police cars. Naylan Wuxia came to Qin Haodong and asked with concern, "How are you? Are you okay?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "I'm fine. It's just that he has too much beard. I don't feel good at all." Naylan Wuxia asked, "How did you do it?" "What do you mean? Don't you know how to blabber?" "That's not what I mean. I'm asking how you made Meng Tai hand over the pistol and the remote control." Qin Haodong didn't want to tell her about his mind manipulating. He said with a smile, "I don't know. I asked him for it and he gave it to me. Maybe I'm too handsome." "Handsome my ass." Naylan Wuxia didn't believe him. But she didn't ask more since Qin Haodong didn't want to tell her. Feng Chuanxiong strode over and held Qin Haodong's hand. He said excitedly, "Brother Qin, you've done me a great favor today. If you hadn't dealt with Meng Tai, I really don't know what would have happened." Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing." He was telling the truth. What happened today was really not difficult for a cultivator. The matter was settled. The raw gemstone Hall of Feng's group was directly sealed by the police. Wang Jianfeng arranged technicians to pick fake raw gemstones made of drugs. Qin Haodong was about to leave when Naylan Wuxia stopped him. "Everything has been settled. You don't have time to treat me to dinner. Why are you stopping me? Go to the criminal police unit and help us with the interrogation." Naylan Wuxia wouldn't let Qin Haodong go. The efficiency of the interrogation would be dozens of times higher with him. Qin Haodong said, "Officer, I'm free, but you can't use me like this." Naylan Wuxia said, "It's fine if you don't go. Tell me the secret of how you made Meng Tai hand over the pistol." "Forget it. I'll go with you. A good citizen like me likes cooperation between the police and the people." Chapter 99. In the interrogation room of the Criminal Police Unit of Jiangnan City, Feng Tianda, who used to be famous, was handcuffed to an iron stool. Naylan Wuxia and Qin Haodong were sitting opposite him. Qin Haodong smiled at Feng Tianda and said, "Young Master Feng, we meet here. We haven't had a good chat after knowing each other for so long. Let's have a good chat today." "Pretty boy, you won't end well for treating me like this," Feng Tianda said and shouted to Naylan Wuxia, "Let me go. I'm the young master of the Feng family. You can't do this to me." Naylan Wuxia banged on the table and said, "Feng Tianda, if what happened today is related to your Feng's group, the Feng family in Jiangnan will be gone. How dare you act like a young master?" Feng Tianda was a little surprised and said, "I don't know what case you're talking about. Our family is a legal business. We never do anything illegal. Meng Tai is from Burma. I didn't know he had a bomb with him." Feng Tianda was surprised. Naylan Wuxia said, "Even if Meng Tai has nothing to do with you, there are a lot of drugs in the raw jade gemstones of your Feng's group. According to the preliminary estimation of our technicians, there must be more than 1,000 kilograms of drugs extracted. Do you know what 1,000 kilograms means? It's heroin, not flour. Heroin, not flour. It's enough for the Feng family to die 1,000 times." What? That's impossible. You and Lin's group must be slandering our Feng family. How could there be drugs in those raw jade gemstones? Feng Tianda was scared and broke into a cold sweat. He was no longer arrogant. He was not a fool. Of course he knew what 1,000 kilograms of drugs meant in Huaxia. "Nonsense. Do you still refuse to come to your senses? We are handling the case impartially. It has nothing to do with Lin's group." Feng Tianda cried in horror, "I'm wronged. I'm really wronged. Our Feng family can't even make money legally. How could we touch drugs? We'll find out whether you and Feng's group are wronged or not. What's true can't be false. What you need to do now is to cooperate with our investigation." "Yes, I will." Feng Tianda nodded in a hurry. Naylan Wuxia said, "Then tell me, what's the matter with those raw jade gemstones? Where did the drugs come from?" Feng Tianda said, "In fact, those raw jade stones don't belong to our family at all." Naylan Wuxia frowned and said, "Feng Tianda, you have to know that those raw jade gemstones are in your Feng's group. It's useless to deny it. I really didn't lie. Listen to me. Feng Tianda explained nervously. I admit that those raw jade gemstones were placed in our warehouse, but they didn't belong to us. 3 days ago, our business partner Zhou Tianhu, the boss of the Jade Gang in Myanmar, called me and told me that he needed to transfer a batch of goods to the Feng family. He asked me to cooperate with him. As long as we finished the task, we would have a 20% discount on the raw jade gemstones imported from Myanmar. Every year, our Fangs Group imports raw jade stones from Myanmar worth billions of yuan. If we can get a 20% discount, we can save a lot of money. Moreover, borrowing the venue wasn't a big deal, so I agreed. Later, these raw stones were transported from Myanmar to Jiangnan City in 2 batches, and then parked in the exhibition venue of our Fangs Group. Meng Tai came with these stones. He was completely in charge of the raw jade gemstones. He didn't let me get involved at all. Nalan Wuxia asked, have you ever thought that there might be something wrong with these stones? Feng Tianda said innocently, I really didn't think about that. I've been making raw jade gemstones for so many years, and I've never heard that drugs could be hidden in them. Nalan Wuxia's face darkened and said, Feng Tianda, you're really good at shirking responsibility. So this batch of drugs has nothing to do with your Fangs Group? Feng Tianda said, it really has nothing to do with us. Our Fangs Group was also cheated by Zhou Tianhu. Nalan Wuxia couldn't help but look at Qin Haodong. She didn't know whether Feng Tianda was telling the truth or not. Qin Haodong smiled at Feng Tianda and said, Mr. Feng, aren't you Zhou Tianhu's brother-in-law? Why would he cheat you? Feng Tianda was depressed when he thought of his amazing girlfriend, Zhou Zizui, and the beauties around Qin Haodong. He glared at Qin Haodong and didn't say anything. Qin Haodong stopped beating Mr. Feng. He directly used mind bewitching and asked the question that Nalan Wuxia had just asked. The result disappointed him slightly. Feng Tianda's answer was exactly the same as before. This guy really didn't lie. He was really cheated by Zhou Tianhu. It seemed that the Jade Gang was behind this major drug trafficking case. Zhou Tianhu took advantage of the raw jade gemstone exhibition held by the Fangs Group to transport the raw jade gemstones into Huaxia. He stored them in the Fangs Group and then looked for the right opportunity to sell them. If that was the case, although the Fangs Group also had to bear some responsibility, it wouldn't be too big. At least, the Feng family wouldn't be destroyed. Whether it was for the interests of the Lin's Group or for Qin Haodong's personal feelings, he hoped that Feng Tianda would bear more responsibility in this case. But the fact was not like that. In fact, with his ability, he could totally make Feng Tianda make a false statement through mind manipulating, so that the Feng family wouldn't be punished. But as the Emperor Greenwood, he didn't want to do that. Later, he cooperated with Nalan Wuxia to interrogate Meng Tai and other main criminal members. The result was basically the same as what Feng Tianda said. Although the case didn't completely destroy the Feng family, the Fangs Group was closed down because of the case. Lu Bingzhong was also removed from the position of Deputy Director of the Municipal Bureau. A series of blows hurt the vitality of the Feng family. Seeing that it was almost time, Qin Haodong left the crime squad. Tonight was the final of the Little Fellows singing competition. He couldn't be absent. Lin Momo also attached great importance to tonight's competition. She put off all the work at hand and accompanied the little fellow to the competition with Qin Haodong. They picked up Wang Jiani and went to the Jiangnan Art Museum together. After getting off the car, Qin Haodong was surprised to find that Wang Hongbing and his family were miraculously waiting in front of the door again. What was different this time was that he didn't bring many bodyguards with him. Instead, there was a young man dressed very brightly and wearing big sunglasses. However, he couldn't tell whether it was a man or a woman after looking at him for a long time. Qin Haodong smiled at Wang Hongbing and asked, Boss Wang, what do you mean? Is your whole family welcoming us? Wang Hongbing took a look at Lin Momo, who was both elegant and beautiful. Then he looked at Qin Haodong and the little fellow in his arms. They were just like a perfect family of 3. A look of jealousy flashed in his eyes. He said, Qin, I just want to tell you that tonight's champion will belong to my son. Qin Haodong smiled and said, You're so confident. Did Boss Wang promise something to the referee again? I don't need that kind of trick at all. Wang Hongbing pointed at the young man beside him and said to Qin Haodong proudly, Look who this is. After he said that, everyone's attention turned to the young man. The young man looked arrogant. He raised his hand and took off his sunglasses, revealing a white face. When Wang Jiani saw the man's face clearly, she couldn't help but change her expression. Qin Haodong didn't understand. He said to Wang Hongbing, "What do you mean? Are you asking me to guess whether he's a man or a woman? I'm sorry to disappoint you. I really can't guess." The young man's face changed. "What are you talking about? He's a real man." He said this very angrily, but he was still a complete sissy. Wang Hongbing said, "Qin, why are you pretending? This is Qiao Beibei, a big star from Jiangnan City. I don't believe you really don't know him." Qin Haodong was indeed not pretending. He didn't even know Ouyang Shanshan before. How could he know Qiao Beibei? He turned to Lin Momo and Wang Jiani and said, "Who is Qiao Beibei? Is he famous?" Lin Momo was usually busy with work and didn't pay much attention to the entertainment circle, but Wang Jiani knew Qiao Beibei's fame well. She said, "He's really famous. He's a star from Jiangnan City. Especially in the past 2 years, he has sung several very popular songs in a row. He can be regarded as a second-rate singer in Huaxia." Qin Haodong nodded slightly, but he didn't care at all. A second-rate star was not in his eyes at all. Wang Hongbing said, "What do you think? Now you know the power of our family. Qiao Beibei is my son's guest singer today. With his help, it's impossible for my son not to be the first. After all, strength decides everything in this world. I can spend 200,000 yuan to hire a guest singer for my son, but you can't. Although you have a few security guards, you can't even afford a guest singer. No matter how good your daughter is, the final champion can only be my son." Wang Hongbing looked disdainful. Then he led Qiao Beibei and the others into the venue. In his opinion, although Qin Haodong had a security company, he was not as powerful as the Wang family. Lin Momo turned to Qin Haodong and asked, "What do you mean? What is a guest singer?" She didn't accompany the little fellow to the competition last time, so she didn't know the rules today. Wang Jiani explained in detail that the contestants could invite a guest singer, and then said to Qin Haodong with a worried face, "Dr. Qin, this is a bit troublesome. Qiao Beibei is really famous in Jiangnan. His performance will definitely affect the judgment of the judges. Maybe Wang Guan will really get the first place." Qin Haodong didn't care at all. It's not that serious. It's just a guy who is neither a man nor a woman. With me here, Tang Tang can't be the second place. Lin Momo complained, "Why didn't you tell me earlier that Lin's group has some business dealings with some domestic stars? If you had told me earlier, I could have found someone to be the guest singer for the little fellow." Wang Jiani said, "Dr. Qin, didn't you say you would find a guest singer for Tang Tang? Why don't I see him?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Don't worry. I've arranged everything." The little fellow asked, "Papa, who on earth are you going to find to be the guest singer for me?" "It's a secret for now. You'll know when the time comes. It'll definitely surprise you," Qin Haodong said and walked into the venue with the little fellow in his arms. Soon the competition began. There were a total of 10 contestants. Wang Guan was the 9th, and the little fellow was the last. Due to the participation of the guest singers, the atmosphere at the competition venue was very lively. The parents of the 8 contestants had also invited a variety of guest singers. These people were basically professional singers, but in terms of strength and fame, they were much worse than Qiao Beibei. Chapter 100. Gosh, someone invited Qiao Beibei as a guest singer. Whose kid is he? He's so good. Qiao Beibei, I love listening to his songs the most. Qiao Beibei, I love you. For a moment, the atmosphere was brought to the peak by Qiao Beibei's appearance. Wang Hongbing looked at Qin Haodong with a proud look. Qin Haodong shook his head secretly. He didn't expect this guy, who was neither a man nor a woman, to be so popular. On the stage, Qiao Beibei and Wang Guan sang the song "Mommy is the Best in the World" together. As a professional singer, Qiao Beibei was quite capable. Not only did she sing well, but she also mastered her skills, which made up for Wang Guan's shortcomings to the greatest extent. After the song was finished, the audience burst into thunderous applause, especially Qiao Beibei's fans. They were very enthusiastic, cheering and applauding. After the performance, Qiao Beibei held Wang Guan with one hand and kept waving to the fans under the stage with the other hand, which was indeed the style of a star. I already know the answer. Today's champion must belong to Qiao Beibei and this kid. Do you need to tell me that? I also know that even Qiao Beibei is on the stage. As long as the referee is not blind, he will give them the championship. There's another kid behind. I heard that she sings well. But it doesn't matter whether she is on the stage or not. No matter how good she is, she can't be better than Qiao Beibei. Hearing the discussion around them, Lin Momo and Wang Jiani looked gloomy. In their opinion, the little fellow had little hope of winning the championship. Qin Haodong, where's the guest singer you found for your daughter? Why hasn't he appeared? Did you forget? Lin Momo said discontentedly. Wang Jiani also complained. Yeah, how could you forget such an important thing? You've seen how important a guest singer can be. He can totally improve the quality of the show. Even the star effect can decide the result of the competition. Qin Haodong smiled and said, why are you two so anxious? Our daughter's show hasn't started yet, has it? Wang Jiani just realized it and said strangely, yeah, the last show has already ended. Why hasn't her show started yet? Did the host forget? The audience also began to make noise. What's going on? I remember there's still a kid. Why hasn't it started yet? Ma Hong said proudly. Is it because the judge has made a decision after our son's performance, so we don't need to compete anymore? Wang Hongbing held the crown and said proudly, I don't think so. Even if the first place is our son's, there is still the second place. The third place must be given to that little girl. Just when everyone was puzzled, the host walked onto the stage with the microphone and said to the audience, don't worry, everyone. There will be a mysterious guest in the next program. Our staff needs to make some arrangements, but it won't take too long. It will be ready soon. After he finished speaking, the audience's curiosity was aroused. Qiao Beibei being able to come to the scene today had greatly exceeded everyone's expectations. Now the host said that there would be a mysterious guest. Who could it be? Ma Hong curled her lips and said, deliberately mystifying. No matter how famous he is, can he be more famous than superstar Qiao? Wang Hongbing said, that's right. That gigolo is just a head of security. He's just a nouveau riche. It's impossible for him to invite a big star. Lin Momo looked at Qin Haodong in confusion and said, what mysterious guest? It's not your doing, is it? Qin Haodong smiled slightly and said, take your time. You'll know soon. You're pretending to be mysterious. Lin Momo rolled her eyes at him and turned to look at the stage. At this time the host announced, contestant number 10, please come on the stage and perform. Qin Haodong kissed the little fellow on the cheek and said, Tang Tang, don't be nervous. The championship will be yours. The little fellow was very relaxed and said, Papa Mama, I'll perform well. After that, Tang Tang walked to the stage. Today she wore a white princess dress, a red hairpin and a delicate little face. She was like a little princess coming out of a fairy tale. With her super cute appearance, she won a warm applause as soon as she came on the stage. What's the use of being beautiful? She can't be compared to our son. The beauty and cuteness of the little fellow made her extremely jealous. That's right. No guest has appeared until now. No matter how good she sings, she can't be compared to Star Qiao, so the championship must be our son. As soon as Wang Hongbing finished speaking, the lights on the stage suddenly turned on. People's attention was immediately attracted to the stage. No one knew when a white curtain was pulled up on the right side of the stage. The scene behind the curtain was not very clear, but people could vaguely see a piano with a woman sitting behind it. The woman was slim and had long hair. Although there was a curtain, she still gave people a sense of elegance. Who is this? Is she the mysterious guest? Who is she? She looks very beautiful. Nonsense. You haven't seen her face. How do you know she is beautiful? But she seems to have a strong aura. Lin Momo said to Qin Haodong, is this the guest you found for your daughter? Qin Haodong said with a smile, of course. Tang Tang's competition is such a big event. How can I forget? Wang Jiani asked, who is she? Why does it look so familiar? Don't worry. I told you it's the mysterious guest. If I say it, it won't be mysterious. As soon as Qin Haodong finished speaking, The performance on the stage had already begun. The little fellow held the microphone and said, "I'm contestant number 10, Tang Tang. Today, I'll perform Before the Flowers and Under the Moon for you." This little girl is so brave. She dares to challenge Ouyang Shanshan's song. This is Ouyang Shanshan's new song. I like it best. I just don't know if this little princess can sing it well. After Tang Tang finished speaking, the woman in the curtain flicked her fingers. The music sounded, which happened to be the prelude of the song, Before the Flowers and Under the Moon. The little fellow held the microphone and sang happily. Her voice was sweet and she grasped the rhythm of the song very accurately. As soon as she sang a few lines, there was a warm applause from the audience. Wang Jiani said with admiration, "Tang Tang is really talented in music. It's really rare that she can perform this song to such an extent at such a young age. It's a pity that she is still a little young and lacks the charm of the original singer." Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry. We still have a guest singer, don't we?" Just then, a beautiful voice came from behind the curtain. It was a perfect combination with the little fellow's singing. It was like the sound of nature, full of charm, and perfectly made up for the shortcomings that Wang Jiani had just mentioned. "Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful." Wang Jiani opened her mouth in surprise. After a moment of sluggishness, she pulled Qin Haodong and asked, "Who is this? How can she sing so well? She's not worse than Ouyang Shanshan." Not only Wang Jiani was surprised, but the audience present also exclaimed and were shocked by the strength of this guest singer. Ma Hong said worriedly in Wang Hongbing's ear, "That gigolo boy not only found a guest singer, but also has such a strong strength. It seems that our son's position is a little dangerous." Wang Hongbing said, "What are you afraid of? What's the use of strength alone? The most important thing is fame. Can she be more famous than Star Chow?" "You're right. Fame is still the most important thing. Some of the judges today are fans of Star Chow. They will definitely give us high marks." Ma Hong nodded repeatedly and agreed with Wang Hongbing's words very much. But she did not notice that Chow Beibei next to her was staring at the person on the stage with a dull expression. On the stage, one big and one small, the two people sang better and better. It could be said that their cooperation was perfect. When the first small climax of the song came, the mysterious guest stood up from the chair, stretched out her hand, gently lifted the curtain, and walked to the stage with the microphone. When she lifted the curtain and showed her face, the people present were silent at first, and then they all stood up, screaming and shouting, "Ouyang Shanshan, my God, my idol, I finally see her. My heart is about to jump out, I'm going crazy. It's really Ouyang Shanshan. I said that no one can sing this song so well except her. Ouyang Shanshan, I love you, I love you." In such a big venue, the atmosphere suddenly soared, and the audience present went crazy for Ouyang Shanshan. Wang Jiani grabbed Qin Haodong's arm, and her nails even sank into his flesh. She looked a little crazy with excitement. "It's really Ouyang Shanshan. How did you invite him? No wonder you don't need me to find a guest for Tang Tang. With Ouyang Shanshan here, you don't need anyone else." Although Lin Momo did not follow stars, she also knew Ouyang Shanshan's fame. Last time Qin Haodong got so many signatures of Ouyang Shanshan, she was very surprised. She did not expect that he directly invited Ouyang Shanshan here today. It should be known that Ouyang Shanshan was the top singer in Huaxia, a figure like the queen of singing. In terms of pretentiousness, she was several streets behind the second-rate singer Chow Beibei. It was impossible to invite such a big singer even if you had money. She really did not know how Qin Haodong did it. Qin Haodong was the calmest person in the venue. When he learned that the little fellow needed a guest, he immediately called Ouyang Shanshan. Ouyang Shanshan had regarded Qin Haodong as her big benefactor, so she naturally would not refuse such a small matter. She gladly came to the venue. Wang Hongbing and Ma Hong were completely dumbfounded. They had used a lot of connections to be able to invite Chow Beibei, and they had paid a one-time fee of 200,000 yuan. Otherwise, why would he come to such a high level to be a guest performer for a kid? They had thought that after paying such a big price, Wang Guan would definitely win the championship of this competition. Who knew that the queen of singing Ouyang Shanshan would come out of nowhere and directly shattered their fantasy. The audience below the stage went crazy, but the two people on the stage were not affected at all. When the little fellow saw Ouyang Shanshan coming out, she was excited at first, and then she sang even harder. The two beauties, one big and one small, held hands and performed the song to the extreme. After the performance, there was a tsunami of cheers in the venue. The audience below the stage rushed to the stage like crazy, wanting to take photos with Ouyang Shanshan. Even Qiao Beibei, who was next to Wang Hongbing, rushed to the stage. Fortunately, the venue had been fully prepared before. Dozens of security guards pulled up a human wall on the stage to protect Ouyang Shanshan. Soldier King Chan Fuguwei and 4 other 8th-class bodyguards protected Ouyang Shanshan and the little fellow in the middle. My friends, please calm down. Our competition is not over yet. Please go back to your seats. Chapter 101. The 10 young contestants had finished their performances and the judges began to get busy. Do we even need to count? The first place must belong to this little girl. That's right. There's no suspense at all. If she doesn't get the first place, I'll be the first one to complain to the judges. I really don't know whose child this is. Her parents are so proud to be able to invite Ouyang Shanshan to be her assistant. To be able to see the heavenly queen in a competition of this level, it's simply something I've never dreamed of. Yeah, I heard that Ouyang Shanshan's appearance fee is no less than 2 million. I wonder how much she will charge this time. You're so vulgar. It's not about money at all. Ouyang Shanshan is definitely a superstar that can't be invited even if you have money. How about I give you 2 million and you invite her to sing a song with me? Although the judges hadn't announced the final result, everyone already had the answer in their hearts. The first place was undoubtedly Tang Tang. The little fellow sang well, and the guest singer was Ouyang Shanshan, the heavenly queen of song. The two of them cooperated with each other perfectly. If the judges didn't give the first place to the little fellow, Ouyang Shanshan's fans would probably riot. So no one dared to take the risk. As expected, the judges soon came out. The chief judge went on the stage and announced the final ranking of today's competition. As expected, the little fellow won the championship. Although Wang Guan had greatly improved his score with the help of Qiao Beibei's popularity, he only got the second place. Hearing the result, Wang Guan immediately burst into tears. He tore Wang Hongbing's hair and cried, "Dad, I won't do it. Didn't you say that I'm a member of the Wang family? As long as I participate in the competition, I'll definitely be the champion. Why am I the second place? Why can Tang Tang be the champion?" As soon as he finished, before Wang Hongbing could say anything, the audience next to him became unhappy and began to criticize him. Your ranking is already very good. Why don't you be satisfied? If it weren't for Qiao Beibei, you wouldn't even get the second place. That's right. I don't know how you got into the final with that singing ability of yours. Although your assistant is Qiao Beibei, she is Ouyang Shanshan. You can't compare at all. What's there to complain about? You can't sing as well as her. And you can't beat her even if you want to compete. What's the point of competing? In the face of all kinds of accusations and preaching, Wang Hongbing's family of 3 was extremely embarrassed. They left the venue dejectedly and didn't even participate in the award ceremony. They left, but it did not affect the warm atmosphere in the venue. After the award ceremony, before Ouyang Shanshan and the little fellow walked down the stage, the audience rushed up and surrounded them tightly. Seeing that the scene was too chaotic, Ouyang Shanshan quickly held the little fellow in her arms. Several reporters with cameras rushed to the front, seizing this rare opportunity to interview Ouyang Shanshan. Miss Ouyang, I'd like to ask you a question. You're here to participate in a children's singing competition today. How much is your appearance fee? Will it be sky high? The reporter's question immediately aroused everyone's interest. In everyone's opinion, Ouyang Shanshan must have taken the opportunity to make a fortune by participating in a competition of this level. Ouyang Shanshan was used to this kind of scene. She said very calmly, "Actually, you've misunderstood. Today, I'm performing for friendship. I won't charge a penny at all." What? Not taking a single cent? How is that possible? There was a commotion again. The reporter continued to ask, "Miss Ouyang, it is said that your appearance fee is more than 1 million yuan. Why did you come to be a free guest for a child?" Before Ouyang Shanshan could answer, another reporter who looked very gossipy followed and asked, "Miss Ouyang, This little girl is so beautiful and very much like you. Could she be your illegitimate daughter? If an ordinary female star was asked this question, she would definitely be angry, but Ouyang Shanshan was very calm. She said with a smile, if you want to say that we are similar, I can only say that we are both very beautiful. I can't find much else in common. Besides, I don't have this blessing. She has parents. The little fellow also said, I have Papa and Mama. After that, she reached out her chubby little hand and pointed in the direction of Qin Haodong and Lin Momo. As a result, everyone's attention was shifted to Lin Momo and Qin Haodong. Looking at the two people standing together like a golden boy and jade girl, people sighed. No wonder the little girl was so beautiful. Her parents were good-looking. Her appearance was off the charts. Ouyang Shanshan took advantage of this opportunity and came to Qin Haodong's side under the escort of Chen Fuguwei and others. She sent the little fellow in her hand back. Qin Haodong took her and said, Thank you for your help today. Ouyang Shanshan said, Do I need to say thank you for our relationship? I should say thank you to you. Her words were very sincere and came from the heart. Qin Haodong also felt that it was reasonable, but it aroused the interest of the reporters next to them. They really couldn't understand what the relationship between Ouyang Shanshan and this handsome young man was. Miss Ouyang, may we ask, what is your relationship with this gentleman? We are good friends, Ouyang Shanshan said. Just friends? What kind of friend can make you do such a big favor? First of all, it's not a big favor. Also, we are very good friends. Ouyang Shanshan also knew that if she entangled with these reporters, she wouldn't be able to finish talking until tomorrow. Moreover, the more she talked, the more mistakes she would make, which would easily lead to some unnecessary gossip. Therefore, after answering the question, she said goodbye to Qin Haodong and then left the venue in a hurry under the escort of Chen Fuguwei and others. What she didn't know was that even so, gossip quickly spread all over the internet and refreshed the entertainment headlines of some small websites, saying that the big star Ouyang Shanshan had an illegitimate daughter. The competition was over, so Qin Haodong and Lin Momo left with the little fellow. After leaving the venue, they didn't go home directly. Instead, they went to a Western restaurant to celebrate with the little fellow. The little fellow won the singing competition, so the whole family was naturally very happy. Qin Haodong ordered a table full of delicious food, and Lin Momo ordered a bottle of red wine. After filling their glasses, Lin Momo raised her glass and said to Qin Haodong, Thank you for doing so much for me. It's better than what I've done as a mother. Qin Haodong said, What are you talking about? I'm Tang Tang's father. It's natural for me to do these things for her. Lin Momo was instantly silent. Qin Haodong's words reminded her of that night 5 years ago. The man left her Tang Tang, but then he disappeared. No matter how hard she tried to find him, she couldn't find him at all. She sighed. Maybe the man in front of her was the compensation from God. Not only was he very outstanding, but he was also good enough to Tang Tang, even better than her own father. Qin Haodong seemed to read her mind and said, Come on, let's drink. Lin Momo raised her glass and drank up the wine in it. It seemed that she wanted to swallow all the bitterness of the past with this glass of wine. The little fellow was eating her favorite fruit salad. After seeing the two drinking, she also raised the drink in her hand and said, Papa, Mama, I want to have a drink too. Qin Haodong filled their glasses again, clinked with the little fellows and said, Okay, let's congratulate our Tang Tang together. She won the competition and will become a big star in the future. After the family of three had a drink together, Lin Momo's cell phone rang. After answering the phone, she asked Qin Haodong with a puzzled face. The raw gemstone factory of Feng's group was closed down. Does it have anything to do with you? Lin Momo was quite surprised by the news she just received. She knew that Lin's group had a very deep foundation in Jiangnan. How could it be closed down? She knew that Qin Haodong went to Feng's group today, and then so many things happened. That was why she asked. Sort of. Qin Haodong told him what had happened today from beginning to end. Finally, he said, Now the case has been cleared up. The Feng's group didn't know the existence of those drugs. So although it suffered a great loss, it's not a serious one. It's a pity. That's very good. Thinking of how Qin Haodong had faced the guns of drug dealers alone, and how he was not afraid of the bomb on Meng Tai's body, and how he had done all that for her, Lin Momo was naturally moved. She even had tears in her eyes. She took a deep breath and said, "Thank you." Qin Haodong said, "Why? You're my woman and Tang Tang is my daughter. I should do anything for you. We're a family and we don't need to say thank you." The little fellow was eating a piece of steak. Hearing Qin Haodong's words, she also said, "Yes. Yes. We're all a family. We don't need to say thank you." Looking at her daughter's little face full of happiness, Lin Momo's heart was full of satisfaction. And it was all because of the man in front of her. Thinking of tonight's game, she asked again, "You haven't told me how you invited Ouyang Shanshan. A big star like her usually won't participate in such a low-level game for children. What's your relationship with her? How could she help you for free?" Qin Haodong looked at her meaningfully and asked, "Why? Are you jealous?" "No. I've said that as long as you treat me and Tang Tang well, I won't ask anything else." Lin Momo said, "I'm just curious. Why would Ouyang Shanshan help Tang Tang?" "Because she's a client of our daddy's security company." Qin Haodong then briefly told her about how he had helped Ouyang Shanshan. "Daddy's security company?" Lin Momo couldn't help laughing and said, "I really don't know how you came up with such a name for the security company. What's so strange about it? The reason why I set up this security company is to protect you and the little fellow. It turns out that the name is very good, and the business has been good since it opened." Thinking of Qin Haodong doing so much for her and the little fellow silently, Lin Momo's eyes were filled with tears again. But this time she didn't say thank you. Instead, she reached out her white and tender little hand and quietly held Qin Haodong's big hand. Qin Haodong was happy as if he saw hope. He whispered, "Momo, my house is being renovated. There's no place to stay tonight. Can you stay and not let me go?" Lin Momo didn't speak. After hesitating for a moment, she gently nodded. Chapter 102. After dinner, the three of them left the restaurant. Qin Haodong was in a hurry, so he drove very fast. In less than half an hour, they returned to the Lin's villa. When they got home, he was eager to go to bed. But the little fellow was so excited because she won a championship today. She ran around the hall happily and didn't want to sleep at all. Later, he couldn't help but say, "It's time for bed. Go to bed." "Papa, but I'm so happy today. I'm not sleepy at all. Will you play with me?" Qin Haodong was eager to play with the child's mother. He said, "Well, Tang Tang, it's too late. If you don't go to bed, you will disturb the neighbors." The little fellow blinked, looked at him and said, "But we have a separate house, don't we? How can we have neighbors?" Well, Qin Haodong realized that the Lin's villa was a separate building, and there were no neighbors. "Well, Tang Tang, Papa has been busy all day. I'm a little tired. Let's go to bed." "Well, since Papa is tired, let's go to bed." Seeing that he had finally persuaded the little fellow, Qin Haodong was happy. But then Tang Tang said, "Papa, go to bed. I'll play with Mama." Well, Qin Haodong was disappointed again. What he wanted now was for the little fellow to go to bed, and he would play with her mother. Helplessly, he sat on the sofa and looked at Tang Tang eagerly. He thought to himself, "Why doesn't this girl understand your father's eagerness? Go to bed." Looking at Qin Haodong's depressed expression, a playful smile appeared on Lin Momo's cold face. The little fellow played until midnight. Then she lay on the bed, holding Lin Momo's hand in one hand and Qin Haodong's in the other. She fell asleep with a happy face. Feeling the little fellow's even breath, Qin Haodong held Lin Momo's hand and whispered, "Tang Tang is asleep." As if feeling Qin Haodong's mind, Lin Momo's cheeks turned red. She whispered, "I know. Let's go to bed too." Qin Haodong said with a smirk, "What, sleep? How can you use such a good time to sleep? Don't you know that every minute of the night is precious?" After that, he stretched out his hands, gently picked up the little fellow and put her on his side. Then, he turned over and lay beside Lin Momo. "What are you going to do?" Lin Momo seemed very nervous. Her voice was somewhat trembling and charming. "Since you already know, why are you still asking me?" Qin Haodong suddenly held Lin Momo in his arms and kissed her hard. "No, Tang Tang is still here." Lin Momo stretched out her hands to push Qin Haodong's chest, but she had no strength at all. It's okay, the bed is so big we can't touch her. Besides, I'm tired and won't wake up for a while. After saying that, Chin Haodong's hands began to explore Lin Momo's delicate body. That won't work either, Lin Momo continued. Why not? Don't you like me? Chin Haodong asked. Yes, but, Lin Momo mumbled. The cold and arrogant female president was now like a little girl in love for the first time, extremely shy. Before she could finish her words, Chin Haodong blocked her cherry mouth with his big mouth, and then his offensive suddenly intensified. He was so passionate that his whole body seemed to be ignited by fire. However, when his big hand reached a certain part, his whole body suddenly stiffened, and his movements immediately stopped. Lin Momo became more and more shy and whispered, I said no. Chin Haodong lay on the bed and asked helplessly, when did she come? Lin Momo said with a sneer, just now. Chin Haodong groaned inwardly. My God, you can't play with me like this. It's not easy for the child's mother to agree, but it's her period. Is there anything more tragic than this? However, although he did not achieve his ultimate dream, he finally slept with the woman he liked. It was much better to sleep with such a beautiful woman in his arms than alone. After a while, Chin Haodong slowly fell asleep with Lin Momo in his arms. Lin Momo was a little shy at first, but then she slowly adapted to Chin Haodong's arms and found a sense of security that she had never had before. She also slept very soundly. Early the next morning, when the two were sleeping soundly in each other's arms, they were suddenly awakened by the little fellow's cry. Papa, Mama, what are you doing? It turned out that the two had slept so soundly. The sun had risen high outside, and even Tang Tang had gotten up. She was sitting next to them, looking at them with two big cute eyes, full of curiosity and confusion. Lin Momo opened her eyes and saw that she was hugging Chin Haodong's neck. They were so close that they could hear each other's breath. At this time, Chin Haodong's big hands were also in her pajamas. Seeing the little fellow next to her, she immediately became sleepy. Her cheeks flushed, and she quickly pushed Chin Haodong away and pushed the two strange hands out of her pajamas. Chin Haodong looked back at the little fellow. He was a little embarrassed for taking her place, so he said, Papa and Mama are sleeping. Why are you hugging each other when you sleep? The little fellow asked again. Oh, yes, Mama is not good at sleeping. I was afraid that she would fall to the ground, so I pulled her a little bit. Chin Haodong thought for a long time and finally found a barely reasonable reason. But Papa, wasn't I in the middle? Why did you sleep in Tang Tang's place? Oh well, I don't know. Maybe Tang Tang was not good at sleeping, so she climbed over there. Oh, it seems that Tang Tang has to be good at sleeping in the future. Or what if she falls to the ground? The little fellow muttered to herself. Seeing Chin Haodong fooling her daughter like this, Lin Momo secretly reached out her hand and pinched the soft flesh on his waist. It was so painful that Chin Haodong grimaced, but he did not dare to make a sound. Just then, Chin Haodong's phone on the bedside rang. Papa, it's your phone. The little fellow immediately ran over and took Chin Haodong's old dummy mobile phone. Lin Momo said, Why are you still using such an old mobile phone? Why don't you change it? As a capitalist boss, you don't pay me a salary. How can I afford to change it? Chin Haodong said with a smile, It's good enough that the mobile phone can be used. Although it's a little broken, it's fully functional and of good quality. After that, he glanced at the phone number on the mobile phone. His expression suddenly became serious, and he quickly pressed the answer button. Little Dong, are you up? A kind greeting came from the other side of the phone. The voice was not very pleasant, but it sounded very warm. Aunt, I'm up, Chin Haodong replied. Lin Momo was quite surprised. Chin Haodong had always been cynical. She had never seen him talk to someone so seriously. The other side of the phone said, Little Dong, it's already the summer vacation. Why don't you come back to see your aunt? Grandpa and Grandma miss you very much. You didn't go home during the New Year. We haven't had dinner together for more than a year. Chin Haodong said, Aunt, I stayed in Jiangnan to work, so I didn't go back. You are always so competitive. If you have no money, just tell us and I will transfer it to your card. Although your uncle and I don't earn much, we don't spend much. The most important thing is that your sister graduated from college this year, so you don't have to worry about the tuition next year. I have already prepared it for you. I see, Aunt. Qin Haodong could deeply feel the concern on the other side of the phone, and there was a faint mist in his eyes. So don't work outside. Come back quickly. Grandma has been talking about you these days. She's waiting for you to come back to find a wife. Qin Haodong said, I see, Aunt. I'll go back today. Well, come back quickly. Your sister has already come back. When our family reunites, I will make your favorite braised pork. The other side of the phone said a few more words to Qin Haodong with concern and then hung up. Qin Haodong put away the phone and said to Lin Momo, I'm sorry, I can't go to work today. I want to go back to my hometown. I have to ask for about a week's leave. A week's leave? Are you going to go back for a blind date? Lin Momo looked at Qin Haodong with a playful face. Qin Haodong's mobile phone was too old, and the room was very quiet. Even the little fellow was obedient and did not speak, so she heard the content of the conversation clearly. Okay. Papa is going to go on a blind date. He's going to find a new mama for me. The little fellow jumped happily on the bed when she heard the news. Qin Haodong looked embarrassed. Well, that's just a joke. How could I go on a blind date? Looking at Lin Momo's expression, he further explained, well, my grandma is old, so she wants to find a wife for me all day. It has nothing to do with me. And she doesn't know I have a girlfriend. If she knew there was a beauty like you, she wouldn't have asked me to go on a blind date. Well, I'll believe you this time. Lin Momo said, was it your aunt who called? Why did you only hear Grandpa and Grandma, but not your parents? Qin Haodong's face darkened. He said, I don't even know who my parents are. How could I mention them? Lin Momo was slightly surprised and asked, what's going on? Qin Haodong sighed and said, I was an orphan when I was a child. I was abandoned by my parents on the side of the road. I was not destined to die. An old Chinese medicine practitioner happened to pass by here, picked me up and adopted me. When I grew up, I recognized the old Chinese medicine practitioner's family as my grandparents. The aunt who just called is his youngest daughter. Oh! Lin Momo knew that Qin Haodong had such an unknown life experience. She said, the old Chinese medicine practitioner's family is very good to you. The aunt who called just now seems to care about you very much. Qin Haodong said, Grandpa and Grandma are very good to me, even better than their own grandson. There was no need to mention my aunt. Although we weren't related by blood, she wasn't much different from my biological mother. After I was picked up by my grandpa, my aunt gave birth to my sister less than 3 days ago. She raised me and my sister together. Because I ate too much, my sister often didn't have enough to eat. Now when we meet, she complains that I robbed her of her food and caused her to be stunted. Speaking of this past, Qin Haodong smiled. It seemed that he was looking forward to the days when he was with his family. After a pause he said, my aunt was a primary school teacher, and her income was not high. My uncle used to work in an enterprise, but later he was laid off. He could only earn some money by doing odd jobs. First it was better. Later, my sister and I went to college together, and the family's financial situation suddenly became tense. My aunt was very thrifty. She was reluctant to change her clothes for several years, so that she could save money for us to go to school. Chapter 103. Lin Momo had never had to worry about food and clothing since she was a child. She had never experienced the suffering of ordinary people. She asked in confusion, isn't your grandfather an old Chinese medicine practitioner? I heard that doctors nowadays make a lot of money. Why are you so poor? Qin Haodong said, it's true that he is an old Chinese medicine practitioner, but he doesn't care about money. He cares more about curing diseases and saving people. He never charges medical fees for treating people, and the medical fees he charges are only a little more than the cost. He also gives medicine to the poor for free, so his income is not high. In addition, he has been buying houses for his 2 uncles' wives in recent years, so his life is very tight. Because of this, his 2 sons think that Chinese medicine is not profitable, and no one will inherit his medical skills. My aunt wants to learn, but Grandpa is full of feudal ideas. He said that it should be passed on to men and not to women, so he didn't teach my aunt. I like Chinese medicine since I was a child and learned a lot from him. Lin Momo nodded and said, "You are unfortunate and lucky. Unfortunately, you were abandoned by your parents when you were a child. Fortunately, you met such a good family. They are all good people." Qin Haodong said, "In fact, it's not exactly like what you said. Grandpa and Grandma are really kind and good people. Aunt and uncle are also very good people, but I can't say the same for the two uncles. They not only didn't inherit Grandpa's medical skills, but also idle all day. They don't do any work at all. They just want to get money from Grandpa all day." Lin Momo said, "That can't be helped. The 9 sons of a dragon are different." Qin Haodong said, "I wanted to work in Jiangnan Hospital to pay for my tuition during this vacation, so I didn't go back. Now that I have some money, it's time to go back." Lin Momo said, "Grandpa, Grandma and Aunt are so good to you. You should go back and repay them." "Well, I won't go to work in the morning. I'll go with you to buy some gifts for them." Qin Haodong looked at her with a smile and said, "You're playing the role of a granddaughter-in-law so soon. Why don't you go back with me, so that Grandma won't force me to go on a blind date?" Lin Momo blushed and said shyly, "Bah, I don't care about your blind date. You can go on as many blind dates as you want." Qin Haodong said, "You really don't want to go back with me?" Lin Momo lowered her head and whispered, "Is it really appropriate for me to go back with you like this? I'm afraid my grandparents will look down on me." It turned out that she had always felt inferior in front of Qin Haodong. She was a woman with a child, while Qin Haodong was a handsome and outstanding young man. Qin Haodong said, "It's not a big deal. Grandpa, Grandma and Aunt are very nice people. They will like you and Tang Tang very much." "All right, I'll think about it." Lin Momo asked again, "You haven't told me where your hometown is." Qin Haodong said, "It's not far. It's in Wufeng County of Jiangnan City. It's only an hour or 2 by car." There were 2 counties and 5 districts in Jiangnan City. Wufeng County was one of the more remote counties, about 150 kilometers away from Jiangnan City. Wufeng County. Lin Momo said, "You go back by yourself today. I'm going to Wufeng County to talk about a project in a few days. You can visit your grandparents and aunt on the way." The little fellow cried, "I'll go too, I'll go too. I want to see Grandpa and Grandma too." Qin Haodong held her in his arms and said, "That's Daddy's Grandpa and Grandma. You can't call them Grandpa and Grandma. You should call them Grandpa and Grandma." He then said to Lin Momo, "Take Tang Tang with you. Let her see the place where I grew up." Okay. Daddy is the best to me," the little fellow said, holding Qin Haodong's neck and kissing him again and again. After breakfast, Qin Haodong and Lin Momo sent the little fellow to kindergarten, and then went to buy gifts for their family. Lin Momo bought a lot of things. The Lamborghini Centenario and the Porsche 911 couldn't fit, so the Honda came in handy. The driver's seat and the trunk were full. After everything was packed, Lin Momo went back to work in the group. Qin Haodong drove out of Jiangnan City and went straight to Wufeng County. As soon as he drove on the highway, the mobile phone next to him rang. He glanced at the phone number and found it was Nalin Wuxia. Qin Haodong slowed down the car and answered the phone. He said with a smile, "Officer, are you going to make me do free labor again? I can't do it today. I'm not in Jiangnan City." Nalin Wuxia said, "That's a pity. I was going to treat you to dinner. It seems that the money for this meal is saved." "Really? Treat me to dinner? Is there such a good thing?" "To tell you the truth, I've been promoted," Nalin Wuxia said excitedly. "Yesterday's case was solved very well. Nearly 1,000 kilograms of drugs were seized. After the case was reported to the municipal bureau, Lu Bingzhong violated the procedures and interfered with the handling of the case, which almost affected the investigation of this major case. So he was removed from the position of Deputy Director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Captain Wang was promoted to the position of Deputy Director because of his meritorious service in solving the case, and I replaced him as the captain of the crime squad." "That's a good thing. Congratulations. But I'm really not in Jiangnan City. When I come back, I'll celebrate with you and Captain Wang." After these few times, Qin Haodong had a good impression of Wang Jianfeng, not to mention Nalin Wuxia. The promotion of the two was really a good thing for him. After chatting for a while, Naylan Wuxia hung up the phone. Qin Haodong sped up and entered Wufeng County an hour later. Qin Haodong grew up in this small county. He was very familiar with the environment here. Soon he drove to a small street in the west of the city. His grandfather's name was Li Qingshan. He opened a Jisher traditional Chinese medicine clinic on this street. The old man often said that as a doctor, he should practice medicine to win people's hearts. That was how the name of the clinic came about. The scale of the clinic was not large. It was opened in a small yard where Li Qingshan lived. There were 3 main rooms for his family. One of them was Qin Haodong's room. The other 3 gatehouses served as clinics for patients. After Qin Haodong entered the street, he found that there were 4 or 5 cars parked in front of the Jisher clinic, and a lot of people gathered. These people were lying in front of the door and looking inside. It seemed that they were watching the fun, but they did not dare to go inside. Did something happen at home? Should not be. According to his grandfather Li Qingshan's character, even if the patient could not pay, he would always smile and never argue with others. How could something happen? The car was getting closer and closer. Qin Haodong faintly heard the quarrel coming from the yard. He quickly pulled over and then hurried to the door. At this time in the Jisher clinic, a bald middle-aged man in his 40s was sitting in an old-fashioned wooden armchair. He shouted arrogantly, "Smash it all. Let's see if this old man will give me a prescription or not." After he finished speaking, more than a dozen hooligans gathered in the room waved the steel pipes and machetes in their hands and smashed the Jisher clinic. The bottles, cans, and all kinds of equipment in the room were smashed to pieces, and the sound of crashing echoed incessantly. "By Wenjie bastard, you dare to smash my clinic. I will kill you." An old man in his 70s, dressed in a long robe, shouted and wanted to fight the bald man to the death. However, he was too old, and with his anger attacking his heart, he suddenly felt the world spin around him. His body tilted and he fell backward. Fortunately, a middle-aged woman and a girl of about 20 years old followed him closely. They rushed forward to support the old man. The girl pulled a chair and helped the old man to sit down. The middle-aged woman said, "Dad, don't be angry with this bastard. Evil people like him will be punished sooner or later." The old man was Qin Haodong's grandfather, Li Qingshan. The middle-aged woman was his aunt Li Shulan. The girl was his sister, Wang Rubing, who grew up with him. "Bastard, you are a bastard. You will be punished sooner or later." Li Qingshan trembled in anger as he watched his entire life's work be destroyed bit by bit in the hands of these hooligans. But there was nothing he could do about them. "By Wenjie, don't be arrogant. I have called the police." "Calling the police? It's really interesting." Bai Wenjie laughed as if he had heard the most ridiculous thing. After laughing enough, he said, "Little girl, do you know that Wufeng County is my world? The director of the Public Security Bureau is my brother-in-law. What can you do if you call the police? If you don't believe it, wait and see if anyone dares to meddle in my business." At this time, the gangsters had smashed almost everything in the store. A yellow-haired gangster ran over, bowed and said, "Brother, we've smashed everything. If we keep smashing, we'll have to smash this old thing's bones." Bai Wenjie said, "What are you talking about? I always win people by virtue. I have just said that this time I only smash things. If you want to break the old man's bones, you have to wait until next time." With that, he smiled slyly at Li Qingshan. "Old man Li, you've seen it too. My brothers don't have good tempers, so hurry up and write me the recipe. Otherwise, if my brothers lose their temper and tear apart your old bones, it won't be good for anyone." Wang Rubing said, "We don't have a prescription for boys and girls at all. How can we write it to you?" Bai Wenjie sneered and said, "Little girl, you are too young to lie to me. I have inquired clearly that this old man has a secret prescription for having a son. As long as you take the medicine according to the prescription, you can guarantee to have a boy." Li Qingshan said angrily, "You are dreaming. I have my principles of practicing medicine. It is against the law of nature to judge a man and a woman. Even if I have a prescription, I will not give it to a villain like you." Bai Wenjie's face darkened. He stood up and walked to Li Qingshan. He said, "Old man Li, I will talk to you again. I have money but I have no son. I have 3 children but they are all girls. Who will give the hundreds of millions of property in the future? As long as you hand over your prescription, I will leave immediately. You open your clinic and I will give birth to my son. How nice it is that everyone is happy. If you don't give me face, I will tear down your store first, and then I will break your old bones. Let's see whether your mouth is harder or your bones are harder. Li Qingshan trembled with anger and said angrily, "How dare you? I don't believe that there is no law in this world. You can kill me if you have the ability." Bai Wenjie said, "Old man, are you senile? Do you want to die? It's just a fucking prescription. Do you want to take it to the coffin? I tell you, don't flaunt your seniority in front of me, or you will die without knowing how." Li Shulan pointed at him and scolded, "Bai, you have done too many immoral things because you can't have a son. 7 people died in your mine the year before last. You not only didn't pay, but also hurt the families of the deceased. Last year you made a lot of money in your mine but you didn't pay the wages of the workers. How can an immoral person like you have a son?" Chapter 104. Li Shulan scolded, "You bastard, you have smashed my store. What else do you want? If you continue to do this wicked thing, not only you can't have a son in this life, but you will also have no descendants in the next life. Bitch, you dare to curse me to die without descendants? Fine, don't you have a beautiful young lady here? I'll bring her back today. When she gives birth to a son for me, I'll send her back to your Li family." After Bai Wenjie finished speaking, he walked to Wang Rubing with an obscene smile. "If you dare to touch my daughter, I will fight with you." Li Shulan was about to rush to Bai Wenjie, but she was blocked by 3 gangsters. She rushed several times but failed. She was a middle-aged woman in her 50s. How could she be the opponent of 3 strong young men? "Bastard! You bastard!" Li Qingshan was so angry that his eyes were full of fire, but he was also pressed on the chair by a gangster and could not stand up at all. "Little girl, it's useless to resist. Hurry up and go back with me to have a son." Bai Wenjie rushed to Wang Rubing with an obscene smile. When he was very proud, he suddenly felt the back of his neck was tight, and then his body suddenly flew out and hit the wall next to him. At this time the room was full of all kinds of fragments. Bai Wenjie rolled down the wall and immediately let out a scream like a pig. He was covered with glass fragments. "Sister, are you all right?" Qin Haodong said to Bai Rubing, who had been scared and pale. Bai Rubing looked at Qin Haodong, who suddenly appeared in front of her, and said incredulously, "Are you little Dong?" "It's me." "What? Don't you know me after just over a year?" "Little Dong, run. I'm a woman. They dare not do anything to me." Bai Rubing pushed Qin Haodong to the door desperately. In her opinion, her brother beat Bai Wenjie, and he would definitely retaliate. But after a few pushes, Qin Haodong did not move. She could not help but say anxiously, "Why don't you run? Bai Wenjie will kill you later." At this time, Li Shulan also rushed over and said to Qin Haodong eagerly, "Yes, little Dong, run quickly, or it will be too late." In the face of their concerned eyes, Qin Haodong felt warm. He knew what would happen to the 2 women if he really ran away. Even so, they still wanted to protect him desperately. How could he not be moved? "Sister Aunt, don't worry. They can't do anything to me." "This child, why are you so stubborn? They are all hooligans, you should run quickly." Li Shulan and her daughter were so anxious that their tears almost fell down. "You hit me and you still want to run? Dream on." At this time, Bai Wenjie had already climbed up from the ground. He wanted to wipe the blood on his face, but he suddenly pressed on the glass debris and screamed in pain again. This made him hate Qin Haodong even more. He shouted at his gangsters, "What the hell are you standing for? Waiting to eat shit? Hurry up and destroy this guy. Beat him hard for me. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility." After he gave the order, the gangsters immediately waved the steel pipes and knives in their hands and rushed to Qin Haodong. "Don't mess around. Is there any law?" Li Shulan, like an old hen, opened her arms in front of Qin Haodong, but was pulled behind by Qin Haodong. "Aunt, leave this to me." Before Li Shulan could react, Qin Haodong had rushed to the gangsters. Li Shulan cried anxiously, "How can you beat those hooligans? Come back. Wang Rubing also shouted, "Little Dong, don't do stupid things." Bai Wenjie picked up the glass debris on his body and scolded, "You dare to beat me? You must be tired of living. Beat them hard." At this moment an amazing scene happened. Those gangsters flew out as if they had been hit by a bomb. They fell to the ground in a miserable howl. In less than a minute, no one was standing. Qin Haodong was angry that these gangsters smashed his grandpa's shop. Naturally, he would not show mercy. These people had broken arms and legs. Even if they recovered later, they would be disabled. It was impossible for them to harm the society. Li Shulan and Wang Rubing shouted worriedly at first. Later, they opened their mouths directly and could not make any sound. They couldn't believe the scene in front of them. They didn't understand how Qin Haodong suddenly became so powerful. "Beat them. Beat them hard for me. If they die, I'll take responsibility." Bai Wenjie only cared about picking up the glass debris on his body. When he heard the scream, he thought it was Qin Haodong, so he still shouted loudly. Suddenly, a joking voice sounded in his ear. "Who do you want to beat?" Bai Wenjie was shocked and suddenly raised his head. He saw that his men were lying on the ground, crying and howling, but the young man was standing in front of him intact. He looked at Qin Haodong in horror, but he couldn't even say a complete sentence. "What, can't you speak? It seems that your mouth is not very good. I have to help you," Qin Haodong said and slapped Bai Wenjie in the face with his backhand. He flew out directly and his body was full of glass debris again. "Little bastard, how dare you hit me?" Bai Wenjie didn't realize his situation at this time. He even scolded again. Unsurprisingly, he was slapped by Qin Haodong again. He got up from the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with his teeth. Now he was a little sober. The young man in front of him was definitely a ruthless character. "Boy, do you know who I am?" He wanted to say his name to frighten the young man, but he flew out again. Qin Haodong stepped in front of him and said in a cold voice, "How dare you act like a pretentious prick at this time? No matter who you are, I will gouge out your 3 eyes if you provoke my family, even if you are Prince Ma." "Little bastard, I am Bai Wenjie of Wufing County. If you dare to hit me, you will go to prison for the rest of your life." Bai Wenjie was so angry that he cursed again. In response to him was a cracking sound. There was a heart-wrenching pain in his arm, which almost made him faint. Looking at his broken arm, Bai Wenjie's face was distorted. "Boy, are you crazy? My brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. How dare you hit me, Kacha?" Another crisp sound rang out, and his other arm was broken again. This time Bai Wenjie was completely dumbfounded. The cruelty of the young man in front of him was far beyond his imagination. Not only his name Bai Wenjie was useless, but also his brother-in-law, the director of the Public Security Bureau. "Stay there obediently. If you dare to make even the slightest noise, I'll break both your legs." Bai Wenjie was completely frightened by Qin Haodong's cruel means. Although his arms were painful, he did not dare to make any sound. After Qin Haodong taught Bai Wenjie a lesson, he turned to Li Qingshan and said, "Grandpa, are you all right?" Li Qingshan said, "Little Dong, you are too impulsive. If you beat these people, the police will definitely arrest you. Run quickly. If anything happens, I will take care of it." "It's okay, Grandpa. I know," Qin Haodong said indifferently. "Grandpa, what the hell is going on? What are these people doing here? Why do they want to smash our store?" Bai Rubing had recovered from the shock at this time. She was more articulate and told the whole story from beginning to end. Bai Wenjie, the villain, has done too many bad things. He can't have a son, so he has to rob Grandpa of the secret of having a son. If Grandpa doesn't give it to him, he will smash our clinic. "Bastard, how dare he bully my family?" Qin Haodong scolded. He turned back to Bai Wenjie and said, "Who gave you the courage to smash my grandpa's store? Don't be angry, little brother. Don't be angry. I will pay for all the losses." Looking at the murderous Qin Haodong, Bai Wenjie was completely afraid. He was afraid that the young man would completely destroy him in a rage. Seeing that this guy was sensible, Qin Haodong finally restrained his murderous intent a little. He turned back to Bai Rubing and said, "Sister, you calculate how much our family has lost." Bai Rubing looked at the smashed things in the room and made a simple calculation. She said, They have smashed so many things that they can't open for a short time. The direct and indirect losses add up to about 30,000 yuan. Qin Haodong turned back to Bai Wenjie and said, "Did you hear that? We lost 3 million yuan. Don't think about getting out of here with less money." Bai Wenjie was stunned at once. The young man was so ruthless that he suddenly increased the price by 100 times. He quickly said, "Little brother, did you hear it wrong? I heard 30,000 yuan. How could I hear it wrong? It's 3 million yuan. Why don't you want to?" Qin Haodong looked at Bai Wenjie, and his eyes were as cold as knives. Bai Wenjie shivered and said quickly, Agree. I will pay for it right away." "You mean it? No one forced you, right?" "I mean it. I'm willing to pay for the things I smashed. I'm willing to pay for it." Now Bai Wenjie didn't dare to say a word of no. "It's good that you're willing. I never force others." Qin Haodong turned back to Bai Rubing and said, "Sister, take your mobile phone and record it to prove that Mr. Bai is willing to pay for it." The reason why he did this was to avoid future trouble for the Li family. After all, he couldn't stay in Wufeng County all the time. Although she didn't understand what Qin Haodong was doing, Bai Rubing took out her mobile phone and pointed it at Bai Wenjie. Qin Haodong turned back and said, "Since you have repented and are willing to pay for it, transfer the money now." "Little brother, both of my arms are broken. I can't turn them. How about I pay for it after I cure the disease?" Bai Wenjie secretly calculated that as long as he got through this, when his brother-in-law came, he would immediately send Qin Haodong to prison. Let alone 3 million yuan, he wouldn't even pay for it. "That's easy," Qin Haodong said as he grabbed Bai Wenjie's right arm and gently moved it with both hands. With a click, his broken arm was reconnected. Li Qingshan had been sitting next to him. When he saw Qin Haodong's bone-setting skill, he immediately widened his eyes. As an old Chinese medicine practitioner, he knew the mystery of Qin Haodong's bone-setting skill. He would never be able to do it. Qin Haodong said, "Well, you can transfer the money now." Bai Wenjie was shocked. He moved his arm, but there was no pain at all. "Hurry up. My time is very precious. I only give you 3 minutes. Qin Haodong said to Li Shulan, "Aunt, write our account number to him." Chapter 105. Soon, Li Shulan's mobile phone rang. She took a look and found that Bai Wenjie had transferred 3 million yuan to her account. Although she was very angry when the gangsters smashed the store, Li Shulan still felt a little flustered when she saw such a long string of numbers. She whispered in Qin Haodong's ear, "Little Dong, is this appropriate?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "It's a matter of course to pay back debts. They smashed our store and now they voluntarily pay for it. What's wrong with it? Just take it." After that, he turned to Bai Wenjie and said, "Am I right, Mr. Bai?" "Yes, that's right." Bai Wenjie endured the sharp pain in his arm and tried to squeeze a smile, but it was uglier than crying. Although Li Shulan was still a little uncertain, she hesitated for a moment and finally did not say anything. Bai Wenjie said, "Little brother, I have paid for it. Can I go now?" "Don't worry, we haven't finished yet," Qin Haodong said. Bai Wenjie grinned and said, "Yes, little brother, I have paid 3 million yuan. Why haven't you finished?" Qin Haodong pulled a chair and sat opposite Bai Wenjie. He said, "I heard that you have done a lot of wicked things these years. Let's settle this account today." Bai Wenjie said, This seems to have nothing to do with your family?" "It didn't have anything to do with us, but since you came to us today, it has something to do with us. Today I will seek justice for the villagers of Wufeng County." Bai Wenjie grinned. He was now regretting it. Why did he suddenly come here to make trouble today? As a result, he was beaten like a dog and paid 3 million yuan. Now it seemed that it was not over. But now all the initiative was in the hands of Qin Haodong. He had no room to resist and could only bear it. Qin Haodong asked, "I heard that 7 people died in your mine. Not only did you not pay them a penny, but you also beat their families. Is that true?" It was not a secret in the whole Wufeng County. It was impossible for Bai Wenjie to deny it. He could only bite his teeth and said, "Yes, that's true. Now give them the money. 1 million for each family." Bai Wenjie shivered and cried, 1 million, that's too much. According to the normal compensation standard, it's about 300,000. If you were to compensate normally, it would be 300,000. But not only did you not pay, you even hit her family. You've been in arrears for so long, and the psychological damages added up to 1 million. Hurry up and pay. Bai Wenjie wanted to object, but in the face of the young man in front of him, he had no courage to resist. He could only say, I don't know their account number. I can only transfer it to them after I go back and check it out. That's simple. I can help you. After that, Qin Haodong dialed Qi Weiner's phone number and briefly told her what had happened. Then he said, I need the bank accounts of the 7 victims' families. Can you find them? Qi Weiner said, it's too easy. I'll send it to your phone in 5 minutes. As the world's top hacker, this was not difficult for her at all. In less than 3 minutes, Qin Haodong's cell phone made a ding sound, and the family information and bank accounts of the 7 people were all sent to him. Qin Haodong handed the cell phone to Bai Wenjie and said, transfer the money. Bai Wenjie took the cell phone and looked at the information on it. It was indeed the information of the 7 victims' families. At this time, his heart was full of doubts and shock. He didn't understand how Qin Haodong did it. He found out the family information so quickly. However, 7 million was not a small number for him. If he transferred it like this, his heart would bleed. He said, little brother, I can pay for it, but I really don't have so much cash in my account now. Can I pay it in a few days? Qin Haodong didn't believe a word he said, but he was too lazy to talk nonsense. He directly used mind bewitching. Mr. Bai, you are a reasonable person. They are all dead. It's not much to pay for 1 million. Hurry up and pay. Little brother, you're right. Bai Wenjie's body shook slightly. He picked up his cell phone and began to transfer the money. Li Shulan and others were stunned. They didn't understand how the villain became so obedient. He was not even willing to pay 300,000 yuan before. Now he took out 1 million yuan. How could this happen? Bai Wenjie's account was still very sufficient. Soon he transferred 7 million yuan. Qin Haodong said, and the wages you owe to the workers, now they have all been paid. Still without any hesitation, Bai Wenjie began to transfer money again. In less than 10 minutes, all the wages owed were transferred into the workers' accounts. Qin Haodong nodded with satisfaction and asked, do you still owe others money? No, that's all. Bai Wenjie said, well, tell me all the wicked things you have done these years from beginning to end. Then Qin Haodong said to Wang Rubing, sister, record it with your cell phone and post it on the internet later. All he did was to completely solve Bai Wenjie and send him to prison. Otherwise, this guy would definitely come to trouble him later. Wang Rubing didn't understand. With Bai Wenjie's cunning, how could he say something to let her record it? But at this time, Bai Wenjie had begun to talk incessantly. He said all the bad things he had done these years from beginning to end. Although they were all simple and concise, it took him more than 10 minutes. The people around were secretly speechless. This guy really did all kinds of bad things. Relying on his power in Wufeng County, he bullied men and women, robbed others' property, hurt and raped many times, and even killed 2 people. With these crimes, it was not enough to be shot 10 times. Who is your backer? You have done so many illegal and criminal things. Is he covering for you? Qin Haodong wanted to bring down Bai Wenjie once and find out the brother-in-law behind him. Unexpectedly, there was a noise at the door and 7 or 8 policemen rushed in. Although there was still a little regret, it was more than enough to deal with Bai Wenjie with these things now. Qin Haodong said to Wang Rubing, post this video on the internet. Wang Rubing agreed and immediately sent the video to several major websites with the highest traffic in Huaxia. Although Bai Wenjie had some background in Wufeng County, as long as the video was released, she believed that no one would dare to speak for him. Don't move. What's going on? The middle-aged policeman with glasses was the head of the police station, Zhang Meng, who was in charge of this street. He had received the alarm from the Li family half an hour ago. However, Bai Wenjie had already told Zhang Meng before he came. He was rich and was the brother-in-law of the director of the Public Security Bureau, so Zhang Meng naturally did not dare not to give him face. He had been delayed until now. Originally, Zhang Meng wanted to deal with the funeral affairs for Bai Wenjie. He did not expect to see such a scene when he entered the door. Bai Wenjie, who had always been arrogant, was kneeling in front of a young man at this time. His expression was trembling, and his gangsters were lying on the ground. A gangster closest to Zhang Meng got up from the ground, pointed to Qin Haodong and shouted, "Director Zhang, that's the guy who hurt us. You must help us." Zhang Meng glanced at Bai Wenjie, who was covered with blood. His face was covered with glass debris, and his left arm had been seriously deformed. The brother-in-law of the director was beaten like this in his jurisdiction. How could it be? If it was not handled well, he might not be able to keep the hat on his head. Thinking of this, he immediately shouted, "Come on, arrest the murderer for me." The two policemen behind him answered and rushed to Qin Haodong with handcuffs. Wang Rubing reached out to stop them and said angrily, "You didn't care when my house was smashed just now. Now my brother has cleaned up these gangsters, and you come to arrest people. Is there any law?" "Yes, you can't arrest people randomly. The young man is a good man. You can't arrest him." At this time, people who had been hiding at the door to watch the scene all rushed in. The clinic, which was very spacious, was full of 70 or 80 people. When the gangsters smashed the clinic, these people gathered at the door, but they were afraid of Bai Wenjie's power. They were angry but dared not speak. Most of these people were the old neighbors of the Li family, who had received benefits from the Li family over the years. There were also a few families of the dead miners and migrant workers who owed wages. They just received a text message from the bank. The money they had asked for a long time had finally arrived. Naturally, they were full of gratitude to Qin Haodong. Now seeing the police arresting Qin Haodong, they could no longer hold back and rushed to stop the police from arresting him. Seeing so many people rushing together, Zhang Meng was also very nervous, but he still pretended to be calm and shouted, "What are you doing? You are obstructing official business. It's against the law." "We don't care about obstructing official business. We only know that the young man is a good man. You can't arrest him." "That's right. You are the police. You should arrest those gangsters." Looking at the excited people, Zhang Meng also felt guilty. If it really caused a group incident, he couldn't afford the consequences. But if he didn't arrest the young man, he couldn't afford the anger of the director. Thinking of the hat on his head, he shouted to everyone, "Didn't you see that he violated the law? He must go to the police station for investigation." At this time, Qin Haodong stepped over and said to Zhang Meng, "Officer, tell me, how did I break the law?" Zhang Meng pointed to the injured gangsters and shouted, "You hurt so many people. Isn't it illegal?" Qin Haodong's face darkened and said, "You only saw that they were injured. You didn't see what they did. Not only did they smash my grandfather's shop, but they also attacked me with weapons. Can't I defend myself? Can't I just stand here and be cut by them?" Wang Rubing also said, "That's right. My brother defended himself. There is a surveillance video in the shop. You can check it if you don't believe it. We all saw that the young man defended himself. These gangsters deserve to be beaten. We can all testify." The onlookers all shouted at the same time. Zhang Meng looked dull. He naturally knew what was going on. He pointed to the miserable Bai Wenjie and said, "Even if you beat those people in self-defense, what about Mr. Bai? You beat him like this. You have to give an explanation, right?" Qin Haodong smiled and said to Bai Wenjie, "Mr. Bai, this police officer wants an explanation. You can tell him." Bai Wenjie said, "Director Zhang, I deserve to be beaten. I brought people to smash this traditional Chinese medicine clinic. I wanted to molest the little girl. It's all my fault. It has nothing to do with this young man. Besides, he also educated me and taught me to do good deeds and be a new man." Chapter 106. Zhang Meng was completely dumbfounded. Looking at Bai Wenjie's repentant face, he thought, "Is this the brother-in-law of the director who bullied others and was unreasonable?" The onlookers were also dumbfounded. No one expected that this evil bully would turn over a new leaf. Did the sun rise from the west? After the shock, Zhang Meng was in a dilemma again. Although Qin Haodong had beaten so many people, it was self-defense. Bai Wenjie, the victim, was willing to do it. How could he arrest him? Bai Wenjie said again, Director Zhang, I've committed so many crimes. I want to surrender. Please arrest me as soon as possible. Zhang Meng suddenly felt a headache and a little confused. What's going on? He couldn't arrest those he wanted to, and those he didn't want to arrest voluntarily surrendered. He had been a policeman for more than 10 years, but this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He hesitated for a moment and looked at the covetous crowd next to him. He knew that it was impossible to arrest Qin Haodong today. This matter could only be discussed later. Let's take Bai Wenjie and others away first. Arrest them all and take them away. Zhang Meng waved his hand and asked his men to handcuff all the gangsters, and then took Bai Wenjie out of the clinic. Of course, arresting them was just for show. These people would be released when they went out. Zhang Meng knew this kind of thing, so did his men. Just outside the gate, a little policeman whispered in Zhang Meng's ear, Director, shall we let Mr. Bai go back first? Not now. There are so many people watching. Let's take them back to the police station. Zhang Meng had faintly noticed that some people were looking at this side from behind. He asked his men to take Bai Wenjie to his police car. Other gangsters were also taken to other vehicles and rushed to the police station together. There were 4 people in this car. In addition to Zhang Meng and Bai Wenjie, there was a driver and the little policeman. Both of them were Zhang Meng's confidants. After getting on the car, Zhang Meng asked, Mr. Bai, what's wrong with you today? Did that guy threaten you? Now it's all right. Tell me if you have anything to say. No one threatened me. I really realized my mistake, so I want to turn myself in. Please give me a chance to turn over a new leaf. Looking at Bai Wenjie's sincere face and repentant eyes, Zhang Meng cursed in his heart. What the fuck was going on? This guy must be crazy. After the young policeman got into the car, he didn't pay attention to them at all. He kept fiddling with the phone in his hand. Suddenly, his expression changed and he shouted, Chief, something bad has happened. Zhang Meng was a little annoyed. After hearing the little policeman shout, he said discontentedly, What are you shouting for? What's the big deal? Even if the sky falls, I will hold it up. Director, look, Mr. Bai's video has been posted on the internet. Now he is the headline of many websites. After the young policeman finished speaking, he clicked on a video on his phone and sent it to Zhang Meng. Hearing that it was Bai Wenjie's video, Zhang Meng was slightly stunned, then reached out to take the mobile phone. After watching it from beginning to end, he was dumbfounded. Crazy. Crazy. Bai Wenjie was really crazy. This was the only thought in his mind at this time. Bai Wenjie confessed so many of his crimes, many of which were felonies, and there were 2 lives in it. The most important thing was that this video had been posted on the internet. With such a big storm, he couldn't suppress it even if he wanted to. At this time, their car had driven into the police station. A policeman behind ran over and asked, Director, should we let these people go? Go my ass. Take them all to the interrogation room. Don't let them go without my order. Zhang Meng had been a policeman for so many years. At this moment, he had realized the seriousness of this matter. Bai Wenjie's gangsters had worked with him for so many years, and none of them were clean. If they were released now, it would be a big trouble if they were traced. Not only these gangsters couldn't be released, but also Bai Wenjie couldn't be released. Now things had gone beyond the scope of his power, and he couldn't afford this responsibility. Although the policeman didn't understand why Zhang Meng suddenly changed his face, he could only send those gangsters to the interrogation room according to the order and lock them all up. Zhang Meng thought about it and decided to give this hot potato to Director Fu Haiken to deal with. Whether Bai Wenjie was arrested or released had nothing to do with him. Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone and dialed Fu Haiken's phone. Director, I'm Zhang Meng. There is an important thing that I need to report to you urgently. What's the matter? You can say it. A middle-aged man's voice came over the phone. Director, this matter is particularly important. It's not clear on the phone. I must report it to you face to face. Although Zhang Meng was Fu Haiken's direct subordinate, this matter was too important, so he also kept an eye on it. If he reported it on the phone, what if Fu Haiken asked him to release Bai Wenjie? If he really released Bai Wenjie, Fu Haiken wouldn't admit it later, and the responsibility would be on him. So he must hand Bai Wenjie to Fu Haiken face to face. Well, come here. I'm at the Fragrance Hotel. Fu Haiken didn't know what happened here, and he trusted Zhang Meng very much, so he didn't think much and directly told him his location. Zhang Meng secretly breathed a sigh of relief and let the driver drive straight to the Fragrance Hotel. The Fragrance Hotel was the only 4-star hotel in Wufeng County, and it was also the most upscale hotel here. In the luxuriously decorated No. 1 VIP room, Fu Haiken, the director of the County Public Security Bureau, was sitting together with a short and fat middle-aged man. This man was Hong Tianbao, the boss of Tianbao Real Estate Group in Wufeng County. He had a very good relationship with Fu Haiken. When they were together, they had done a lot of shady things. Although there were only 2 of them having dinner today, there was a table full of wine and dishes, which looked very sumptuous. Hong Tianbao grabbed a bottle of Maotai and poured a full glass for Fu Haiken. He smiled flatteringly and said, "Brother, please help me with the reconstruction of the old street this time." Fu Haiken picked up the glass and took a sip gently. He said, "It's not easy to deal with the old street. Now it's ordered again and again that the police are not allowed to be involved in the demolition." Hong Tianbao said, "Brother, I know that and I don't want to trouble you. As long as you turn a blind eye when my people do it. To tell you the truth, the biggest difficulty of this demolition is the Jisher traditional Chinese medicine clinic. The old man surnamed Li is really a stone in the latrine pit, stinky and hard, but he is very prestigious in this area. No one can touch other people's houses if his family doesn't agree to the demolition. So I want to make a breakthrough from his house, and then it'll be easy for the other ordinary people." Fu Haiken said, "It's not easy to touch the old man Li Qingshan. He has a very high reputation in our Wufeng County. Even the 2 county leaders have been treated by him. If something really happened, no one would be able to bear the consequences. I think you'd better give him more money, so as to avoid unnecessary trouble." "Brother, you don't know this, but I've already talked to that old man about other people's movements. I've already deducted half of the relocation fee and given all of it to him. However, this old fart still doesn't agree. He wants me to build a Chinese medicine clinic for him nearby, saying that he has to guarantee that he can treat everyone's illness before he agrees to relocate. Brother, think about it. Commercial outlets are so expensive now. If we just build a clinic for him, what can we earn? What do so many of my brothers eat? Besides, with the old man's bad temper, if we really give him more money, he will definitely go everywhere to show off. At that time the house can't be built," Hong Tianbao said, but he secretly cursed Fu Haiken in his heart. This guy usually benefited a lot from him, but when he needed him to work, he didn't want to take any responsibility. However, if he wanted to demolish Li Qingshan's clinic, he had to talk to Fu Haiken, the local tyrant. Just when he wanted to say something again, the door opened and Zhang Meng came in, followed by Bai Wenjie and the little policeman. Fu Haiken looked up at Zhang Meng and asked, "What's the matter?" Zhang Meng looked at Hong Tianbao and looked a little hesitant. Fu Haiken said, "Brother Hong is one of us. What's the matter?" With Fu Haiken's consent, Zhang Meng no longer hid and said, "Director, something big happened. Is Mr. Bai crazy?" "What? What did you say?" Fu Haiken asked incredulously. At the same time, he looked at Bai Wenjie standing next to him and saw his brother-in-law covered with blood and a swollen face. He asked, "What the hell is going on?" "It's a long story. Director, you better watch this first," Zhang Meng said and waved to the little policeman. The little policeman immediately sent the mobile phone in his hand to Fu Haiken, and at the same time clicked the play button of the video. Fu Haiken looked at the video suspiciously. The more he watched, the more serious he looked. Finally, his whole face darkened. After watching the video, he slapped the table and scolded Bai Wenjie. "Is your fucking head kicked by a donkey? How dare you say anything? Even if you want to die, don't take me with you." Bai Wenjie's expression didn't change much. He said, "Brother-in-law, I know I'm wrong. I've done too many wicked things these years. I want to surrender to the public security organ." Fu Haiken didn't expect his brother-in-law to become like this. He cried to Zhang Meng, "What the hell is going on? Director, I suspect that Mr. Bai's brain has a problem. He must be crazy. Otherwise, who would say these terrible things clearly? After listening to Zhang Meng, Fu Haiken took a deep breath and slowly calmed down. After all, he was also a person who had seen the wind and waves. He knew that the most important thing to do now was to be calm. Thinking of the video just now, although Bai Wenjie was crazy, he didn't say anything about himself, which was a blessing in misfortune. Thinking that he could keep his hat, he had a lot of confidence in his heart. He asked Zhang Meng what happened today. Why did Wenjie become like this? I don't know the details. It's like this. Zhang Meng learned from the beginning to the end of today's matter. And finally said, Director, I think this matter must have something to do with the little bastard adopted by Old Li. This video must have been posted on the internet by him, including Mr. Bai's sudden madness. It's likely that he made it. After listening, Fu Haiken didn't speak. He leaned his head on the back of the chair, slowly closed his eyes and began to think. Now the urgent matter was how to deal with Bai Wenjie. If he was released, he couldn't bear it once the higher-ups investigated. Now the matter was too big. The higher-ups would inevitably send someone to investigate. He was just the director of the County Public Security Bureau, a cadre at the level of section chief. Such a big matter was not something he could handle. But if he didn't release Bai Wenjie, the tigress in his family only had such a brother. If he really sent Bai Wenjie to prison, the tigress would fight with him. Chapter 107. Hong Tianbao said to Fu Haiken, Brother, in fact, you are confused by the person involved. I have a good way to deal with this matter. Fu Haiken suddenly opened his eyes and looked at Hong Tianbao. Brother, tell me what's the good way? As long as you help me get through this, we will be brothers in the future. Brother, are you worried about how to deal with Mr. Bai? Yes, he has made too much trouble now. It's really not easy to deal with. If he is really arrested, you know your sister-in-law's temper. She will make a scene with me. If he is not arrested, it will be a big trouble if the higher-ups really investigate it. Maybe I will be involved. Hong Tianbao said, in fact, it's easy. Although Mr. Bai said so many things in the video, his spirit is obviously unstable. Who knows whether it is true or not? Besides, Mr. Bai is so seriously injured now. First, we should apply for medical parole for him to go to the hospital for treatment. Even if the higher-ups find out, there is nothing wrong with him. Look, I'm really confused. I even forgot about medical parole. Fortunately, you reminded me. Fu Haiken looked relaxed, but then he said, Brother Hong, although this method is good, it can only alleviate the problem for a while. It can't solve the problem fundamentally. Hong Tianbao smiled and said, although medical parole is not a long-term solution, brother, you forget that Mr. Bai is crazy now. Let's do a psychiatric identification for him. As long as we get that little book, even if he has committed a big crime, it will not be a problem. Brother Hong, you're really smart. I'll remember this favor. Fu Haiken laughed. With his power in Wufeng County, it was easy to get a psychiatric certificate for Bai Wenjie. Moreover, Bai Wenjie's brain was really wrong now. He turned to Zhang Meng and said, hurry up. First, send Wenjie to the hospital for treatment, and then give him a medical parole procedure. The procedure must be done well. Don't let the higher-ups find anything wrong with him. Got it, Director. I'll do it now. Zhang Meng promised and left the office with Bai Wenjie. This ending was a happy one for everyone. He had benefited a lot from Bai Wenjie over the years. If he really wanted to thoroughly investigate, it would not be good. After they left, Hong Tianbao said to Fu Haiken, Brother, this matter is only half solved. There is still half left. Fu Haiken's mind was very sharp as he sat in this position. He was just too shocked and confused. Now that he had calmed down, he immediately reacted after hearing Hong Tianbao's words. Are you referring to the Li family? Yes, today's problem mainly lies with the grandson that old man Li adopted. If he doesn't let this matter go, it will be troublesome if the higher-ups really want to investigate it thoroughly. The best way is to get rid of him in advance. Fu Haiken touched his chin and said after pondering, the higher-ups will definitely send someone to investigate this matter. So if we want to touch that kid, we have to be thorough. We can't leave any traces. He's just a brat who hasn't even grown his hair yet. It'll be easy to deal with him. Hong Tianbao said with a sinister smile. Brother, you've just heard that this kid is hot-tempered and has some skills. If I ask someone to demolish his house now, he won't be able to control his anger and will inevitably do something to my people. At that time, I'll arrest him and send him to the police station. Let him stay there for 3 or 5 years. When he comes out, the storm will have passed and nothing will happen. Fu Haiken immediately understood that Hong Tianbao wanted to take this opportunity to demolish Li Qingshan's traditional Chinese medicine clinic. However, this approach was also beneficial to him, so he did not object. He thought for a moment and said, "It's a good idea. But are you sure that old man Li's family has no background? If we really provoke some big shots, it will still be troublesome. I can guarantee this. Old man Li has treated some diseases for these years. His family has nothing to offer at all, because of the public relations. And you've seen that his traditional Chinese medicine clinic has been smashed by Mr. Bai. If he had any background, he would have used it long ago." Fu Haiken thought for a moment, nodded and said, "Brother, you're right. Let's do as you say, but be quick. We must get the kid in before the investigation team comes." Hong Tianbao was overjoyed. His method not only solved the problem of demolition, but also tied Fu Haiken to himself. Today's meal was really worth it. He got such a big surprise. "Don't worry, brother. I'll arrange people now. Let the kid spend the night in prison tonight." Then he immediately got up and went to arrange the forced demolition. In Jisher Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic, after Zhang Meng and others left, those who received the money thanked Qin Haodong, especially the families of the deceased, who got 1 million yuan at once. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Qin Haodong excitedly. They didn't even get any compensation before. Finally, these neighbors were all sent away. Li Shulan took Qin Haodong's hand and said, "Little Dong, go quickly. You beat Bai Wenjie. His brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. He will definitely send someone to arrest you later. Don't worry, Aunt. Now so many things have happened to Bai Wenjie. He can't protect himself. How can he care about me?" Qin Haodong had indeed arranged this. With his current cultivation, mind manipulating could be kept in Bai Wenjie's mind for 3 days. He would certainly not retaliate within 3 days. After 3 days he would be arrested and put in prison. Is it really all right? Li Shulan was still a little worried. Qin Haodong said, "Of course it's all right. Bai Wenjie's brother-in-law is just a director of the Public Security Bureau. He is not the emperor. He can't protect such a big thing." Li Shulan thought about it and felt relieved. At this time, Wang Rubing stepped forward and pinched Qin Haodong's ear. She said, "Little boy, tell me, when did you become so powerful?" Qin Haodong hurriedly cried, "Sister, sister, let go of me. How can I get a wife in the future if you pull my ear long?" He and Wang Rubing grew up together, and Wang Rubing was only 3 days older than him. They were of the same age. They had the best relationship in ordinary days. It was common for them to fight. Although Qin Haodong was the emperor green with these years and his status in the cultivation world was unparalleled, he couldn't find this kind of family feeling. Therefore, he enjoyed the current family atmosphere very much. Li Shulan said, "Girl, let go of little Dong, or your grandma will scold you again when she comes back." Wang Rubing snorted and let go of Qin Haodong's ear. Li Shulan asked again, "Little Dong, tell me what the hell is going on? When did you learn Kung Fu?" Of course, Qin Haodong couldn't tell that he was a cultivator. He said, "Aunt, my elective course in college these years is Sanda. It's not surprising that I know a little Kung Fu." "Come on, can the Kung Fu you learned in college be so powerful?" Wang Rubing didn't believe it. "I'm a martial arts genius. If you are bullied by your boyfriend in the future, just come to me. I will beat him into a pig's head." Qin Haodong said with a smile. "You..." Wang Rubing reached out to grab the other ear of Qin Haodong. Li Qingshan said, "Well, stop it. I have something to ask little Dong." Wang Rubing glared at Qin Haodong and took back her right hand. Li Qingshan said to Qin Haodong, "Boy, who did you learn the skill of bone setting?" "I learned it from an old professor in our school. He has retired now. If Grandpa wants to learn, I can teach you." Qin Haodong fabricated a retired old professor. Anyway, no one knew whether what he said was true or not. Oh, Li Qingshan sighed. There are masters in Jiangnan Medical College. It was right to let you go there to study medicine. It seems that if you want to learn skills, you have to go to big cities. Speaking of this, Wang Rubing said excitedly, little boy, I tell you, I also went to Jiangnan City. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, I will protect you. Although they went to college together, the medical college took 5 years to graduate. The ordinary undergraduate university she studied in another city only took 4 years, and she just graduated this year. Qin Haodong asked, sister, where did you go? Li Shulan said with a happy face, little Dong, your sister took the civil service examination after graduation. I didn't expect that she really passed the examination. In a few days, she will report to the Jiangnan Health Bureau. For ordinary families like them, it was absolutely a great joy for their children to be admitted to the civil service. Yes, that's great. Qin Haodong was also happy for his aunt and sister. He said, sister, when you arrive in Jiangnan City, come to me. I will arrange a place for you to live. He was very clear that his aunt's family could not afford to buy a house in Jiangnan City in a short period of time. Even if they rented a house, it would be a big financial burden. Moreover, there were so many empty rooms in his villa. It was just right for Wang Rubing to live there. Before Wang Rubing could speak, Li Shulan quickly said, that's not good. It's not easy for you to live alone in Jiangnan City. Your sister has graduated and worked to make money. How can you let her bother you? And it's not troublesome. Qin Haodong said half of the words, and finally didn't tell her about his villa. After all, what happened today was enough to shock his family. If he said too much, he was afraid that they would not be able to accept it for a while. Little Dong, don't say it. It's absolutely impossible. Li Shulan kindly refused again. Qin Haodong sighed and said nothing. When he returned to Jiangnan City, he would directly pick up his sister. Li Shulan said again, little Dong, the 3 million yuan you just asked for can be used to renovate the clinic. You can take the rest to buy a suite in Jiangnan City. Now it's hard to find a wife without a house. Qin Haodong was moved. This aunt treated him better than his own mother. She didn't think of her daughter first when she got the money, but thought of him first. He said, Aunt, I can't take the money. It's all for Grandpa. This house is too shabby. There's no need to renovate it. Let's renovate a new clinic. Li Qingshan said, little Dong, you can't do that. I can manage the clinic alone. You ask for the money. You can take it all. Grandpa, I really can't take it. And I'm not short of money. I have a lot of money now. Li Shulan said, this child is talking nonsense again. You are a student. How can you earn money? Just take it. When they were talking, a white-haired old lady came in from the door. It was Qin Haodong's grandmother, Zhuolanji. The old lady was over 70 years old this year, but because of good maintenance, she was not deaf and blind, so she walked easily. As soon as she entered the door, the old lady did not notice the smashed clinic, but saw Qin Haodong at a glance. Little Dong, grandson, you're back. I miss you so much. After seeing Zhuolanji, Qin Haodong was moved. This old lady had favored him since he was a child. She treated him better than her own grandson. Grandma, you're back. Be careful when you walk. There were smashed pieces everywhere on the ground. Qin Haodong rushed to hold the old lady for fear that she would fall. Chapter 108. Qin Haodong was afraid that the old lady would worry and said, Grandma, you don't have to worry about it. Grandpa's clinic is too shabby. We'll build a new one in a few days, a big one. Li Shulan also said, yes, Mom, Dong is finally back. Don't worry about those things. Let's talk in the yard. I don't care. I don't care about anything. Old man, you can do whatever you want. Come, let's talk in the yard. Zhuolanji took Qin Haodong's hand and went through the clinic to the backyard. She sat down on a bamboo chair and pulled Qin Haodong to sit beside her. The old lady had 2 grandchildren, but because of the sarcasm of her 2 daughters-in-law, the 2 grandchildren were not close to her since they were young. They could not see each other once a year. When they came, they just asked the old lady for money. In contrast, Zhuolanji loved Qin Haodong, who grew up with her and was obedient and sensible. He was better than her own grandson. Qin Haodong was also very intimate with the old lady. He took Zhuolanji's hand and said, "Grandma, where did you go just now? Why didn't I see you?" Zhuolanji said, "What else can I do? I asked my old sisters to help you find a wife. This afternoon is not in vain. I have arranged 3 girls for you tomorrow. Go with me on a blind date in the morning." After the old lady finished, Wang Rubing covered her mouth and giggled. Qin Haodong said with a bitter face, "What? Blind date? Grandma, I haven't graduated from college yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Aren't you going to graduate in a year? It's a good thing to settle your marriage now and get married as soon as you graduate next year. Now there are more men than women in Huaxia. You have to hurry to find a partner. Besides, Grandma is eager to hold a great-grandson." Qin Haodong was speechless. "Grandma, it's not urgent to find a partner. What's more, there's no blind date now. Why not? You have to listen to Grandma." Zhuolanji said, "Dong, since your grandfather brought you back to our Li family, we have to treat you as our own grandson. If one day your biological parents come and we marry a wife for you, your grandfather and I will be able to explain it." "Grandma." Qin Haodong didn't know what to say, but he was deeply moved. Li Shulan said, "When Grandma heard that you were coming back today, she immediately went out to find a wife for you. It seems that you can't refuse her." Qin Haodong had no choice but to say, "Grandma, to tell you the truth, I already have a girlfriend, so I don't need a blind date." "Stinking brat, are you trying to deceive your grandmother? Don't think that you can fool me just because I'm old. If you have a girlfriend, why didn't you tell me before? Once I ask you to go on a blind date, you'll have a girlfriend. Unless you bring her here now, you'll have to go on a blind date tomorrow morning." "Grandma, what I said is true. Why don't I call her now and let you talk to her?" The old lady said excitedly, "Really? You really have a wife? Hurry up and call her. I want to have a good chat with my granddaughter-in-law." In order not to go on a blind date, Qin Haodong had to dial Lin Momo's number. Unexpectedly, as soon as the phone was connected, there came a prompt that the phone was turned off. Qin Haodong couldn't help it. He knew that Lin Momo would always turn off her phone when she was in a meeting. It seemed that she was in a meeting now. "Dong, did you call her?" Zhuolanji asked expectantly. "Grandma, her phone is turned off. Maybe there's something over there. How about we call again tomorrow?" "Stinking brat, you lied to my old lady again. How can there be such a coincidence?" Seeing that she couldn't talk to her granddaughter-in-law, the old lady immediately changed her face. "You'll go on a blind date tomorrow morning. Don't try to fool my old lady again." Li Shulan sneered, "Dong, it seems that you can't avoid a blind date, but it's also a good thing. What if you meet a girl you like?" Qin Haodong was speechless. He never thought that he would have a blind date. At this moment there was a sound of footsteps at the door. For people came in one after another. Zhuolanji turned her head and the smile on her face suddenly disappeared. 2 middle-aged couples came in. Li Qingshan's eldest son, Li Cheng, and his daughter-in-law Zhang Feng walked in front. His second son Li Kai and his second daughter-in-law Zhao Haili walked behind. Li Qingshan and his wife had 2 sons and a daughter. The younger daughter, Li Shulan, was very filial. She often came to visit the 2 old people on weekdays. The 2 sons could basically only see each other once in the spring festival. Every time, because of asking for money from the old couple, they separated on bad terms. Last spring festival they didn't even see their shadow. Today they suddenly came. If you wanted to enter the yard of Li's house, you had to go through the clinic at the door first. When entering the door, Li Cheng saw broken ground and said, "Dad, what's going on? Why was the clinic smashed?" Before Li Qingshan spoke, the second son, Li Kai, said, "It's good that the house is going to be moved. It's convenient to smash it." Li Qingshan originally sat aside and drank tea. Hearing Li Kai's words, he put the teacup on the table heavily and said angrily, "Bastard, what are you talking about? That's right. We'll move it right away. What's the point of keeping this broken clinic if we move it? Anyway, it's not profitable." Li Qingshan suddenly became angry and said angrily, "Little bastard, get out of here. Even if I die, I will die here. Let's see who dares to touch my house. Li Kai still wanted to say something, but was pulled behind by his wife, Zhao Haili. Your broken mouth can't speak at all. You make our father angry when you open your mouth. After scolding Li Kai, Zhao Haili said to Li Qingshan with a flattering face, Dad, Li Kai can't speak well. Don't be angry. Seeing Zhao Haili's flattering appearance, Qin Haodong was quite surprised. This woman had always been mean and never put the old man in her eyes. In the past, it was she who instigated Li Kai to quarrel with the old man. Why did she suddenly become sensible today? If it was said that Zhao Haili suddenly changed, Qin Haodong would not believe it. As the saying goes, a dog can't change its spots. This woman's virtue would not be much better in this life. Now she suddenly came to flatter Li Qingshan, which must be something, or she would never do this. Li Cheng, the eldest son, also said, Yes, Dad, we don't come back often. It's not easy for us to see each other. Don't be angry. After all, they were his own sons. After listening to the two, Li Qingshan's face also eased a lot. Tell me, why did you come back? Zhang Feng said, Dad, don't say that. We are your son and daughter-in-law. Isn't it right to come back to see you? Swalanji said, Well, although your father and I are old, we are not stupid. You can't come if you don't have something to say. Just say it. Li Cheng smiled embarrassedly. He moved a small stool and sat in front of Li Qingshan. He said, Dad, Mom, if that's the case, we'll be frank with you. Today my second son and I really have something to discuss with you. Li Qingshan looked at him, and then looked at Li Kai. He said with a sneer, What? You came to ask me for money again? Zhang Feng said, Dad, it's not easy for you to earn that little money. How can we always ask you for money? Qin Haodong was more and more surprised. He knew what these four people used to be like. They often quarreled with the old couple for money. Did they all change today? This was not normal. It seemed that there must be a bigger plot. Li Cheng said, Here's the thing. My son, your eldest grandson, is 28 years old this year. He got a girlfriend a few days ago and is going to get married soon. Now he only needs a wedding house. It's almost 500,000 to buy a house of about 100 square meters in Wufeng County. You know our family's condition. We can't afford so much money. But we don't have a house and the girl doesn't agree. It's really difficult now. As soon as he finished, Zhao Haili poked Li Kai. Li Kai said quickly, Dad, your second grandson Dong Hai graduated from college this year and found a job in the downtown of Jiangnan City. He's not young this year. It's time for him to find a girlfriend. But he can't find a girlfriend without a house in Jiangnan City. Although this child is very capable, he just started working and has no savings. We should pay the down payment. The house price in Jiangnan City is more expensive than in our county. The down payment should be at least 500,000. As soon as he reached there, Li Qingshan snorted coldly. At the end of the day, you're still here to ask me for money. Let me tell you, I've married wives and bought houses for the two of you. I've already fulfilled my responsibilities as a father. As for your sons, you'll have to find a way yourselves. I don't have money. Li Cheng said, We also know that you can't afford so much money, but we've inquired about it. We'll move the house here immediately. I have a friend in Tianbao Real Estate. He told me that our house is in a good location and large area. As long as you agree, he will immediately transfer 1 million to our account. With this 1 million, my second son and I will each have 500,000. The problem of your two grandchildren will be solved. Qin Haodong suddenly realized that no wonder these four people were like different people today. It turned out that they came for the old man's house. Li Shulan had been silent. Hearing this, she couldn't listen anymore. She said, This house belongs to Dad and Mom. After moving, you take all the money away. Where do you want them to live? Do you want them to live on the road? Li Cheng said, Of course not. My second son and I have discussed it. After moving, the three of us will rent a house for Dad and Mom. Anyway, they are only old couple. They don't need too big. 20 or 30 square meters is enough. Li Kai followed and said, Yes, Mom and Dad still have a little pension. They have more than 2,000 yuan in total. It's no problem for them to live a basic life. Li Shulan said, you two really have a good plan. Why do you sell mom and dad's house, take all the money, and let the three of us rent a house together? Li Cheng said, what? You don't want to take some rent? Don't you pretend to be filial? Can't you just take some money for retirement? Li Kai said, I think you are jealous of us inheriting this property. Let me tell you, our surname is Li, and we are the sons of the Li family. You are also an outsider, and the property should always be inherited by the son. There is no such thing as a girl, so you should give up. Zhao Haili said in a strange tone, I was wondering why you and your daughter always stay at the old lady's place. I thought you were really filial. It turns out that you are eyeing this house. But my husband is right. It's useless for you to keep an eye on it. This house is ours. Seeing her own brother say such words, Li Shulan trembled with anger. When did I pretend to be filial? Our parents raised us once. I can't do that kind of heartless thing. I never thought about this house, but I have to support our parents. I don't want to rent a house, but I can take them to our house. Li Shulan's face was full of anger. Chapter 109. What else did Li Kai want to say? Li Qingshan overturned the table and said angrily, That's enough, you two unfilial sons. Let me tell you, this house belongs to my old man, and no one can have any ideas about it. I won't move even if it's 2 million, let alone 1 million. I still want to open a clinic here. Li Kai said, Dad, I don't mean to criticize you, but how much money has this broken clinic made in your whole life? You're so old. Take a rest. Why do you still open it? Li Cheng said, Yes, Dad. It's your grandson's business. To put it bluntly, it's our Li family's business. Anyway, you should sell the house and help the children buy a house. That's the right thing to do. Li Lanji also stood up from the stool and said, Well, boss. Now you're eloquent. You can talk like a tongue twister. But today, even if you say something stupid, this house belongs to me and your father. Don't even think about it. Zhang Feng said, Mom, I don't like what you said. We're all family. When you and Dad die in a few years, this house will be ours. It's better to give it to us now than to give it to them at that time. Zhao Haili also said, Yes, Dongfeng and Donghai are both your grandsons. Shouldn't you give them the house? Li Qingshan said furiously again. Now you're saying he's our grandson? Just pat yourself on the chest and think about it. How many times have the two of them called me grandfather, and how many times have they called your mother grandmother? We don't even see them once a year. Now that they need money, they're about to become our grandson? Today, I'm telling you that you have no share in this house now. Even if your mother and I die, you will not have a share. Hearing this, Li Cheng immediately became anxious. He stood up and cried, Dad, are you old and confused? We are your sons. If you don't give the house to us, do you want to give it to the bastard you picked up? Li Cheng also cried, Yes, Dad. I really don't know what you're thinking. At that time you suddenly picked up a bastard. Our Li family has raised him for so many years. It's enough. Do you really want to give the house to him? Qin Haodong's face instantly became gloomy. He didn't expect that he would be involved in the fight for the real estate. The two of them kept referring to him as a bastard and a wild child, which just happened to be the two words he hated the most. If it were not for the fact that they were the sons of the old man Li Qingshan, he would have exploded a long time ago. Wang Rubing, who had been silent, saw Qin Haodong's anger. She gently pulled his hand and said, Little brother, don't bother with them. They are elders after all. Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief. Over the years, he had been ridiculed and looked down upon by these people in the Li family, but in the end, he had endured it for the sake of his grandparents. However, after hearing what they said, Li Qingshan was furious. Bullsh *T. Haodong is my grandson. If you two don't know how to speak human language, then get out. This family doesn't welcome you. Li Lanji also said, Since Xiaodong entered our Li family, he is a member of our Li family. If you don't recognize him, then get out. Seeing that the old man and the old lady were angry, Li Chang and Li Kai did not dare to make trouble with them too much. After all, they still hoped to get the house from the old man. They turned their heads and vented their anger on Qin Haodong. Li Chang cried, "Qin, our Li family has raised you for more than 20 years. We have done our best. Why do you come back?" Li Kai said, "Are you back to ask for money? Or did you hear that our house is going to be moved? Qin, you come back to take the house? I'll tell you today, it's impossible to take a penny from our Li family. You unfilial son, I'll kill you today." Li Qingshan raised his crutch and was about to rush to Li Chang and Li Kai. However, the old man was now old and angry. He had just taken 2 steps when he almost fell down. Qin Haodong hurried over to support him. "Grandpa, don't be angry. I'll deal with it," Qin Haodong said and helped Li Qingshan to sit on the chair. Then he turned to look at Li Chang and Li Kai. "The Li family has raised me for so many years. Grandpa and Grandma take me as their grandson. My aunt takes me as her son. I always remember this. I come back today not to plot for the old man's property, nor to ask for money. I come back to repay the kindness." Li Chang said, "Repay the kindness? Sounds nice. You just say a few beautiful words and then ask for money from the old man." Li Kai said, "If you really want to repay the kindness, then take out the money for our Li family. The rest is nonsense." Zhao Haili said to Li Kai, "Are you out of your mind? If it weren't for our Li family, he would have starved to death. How could he get the money?" Li Shulan said angrily, "What are you talking about? Haodong is still in school. Where do you want him to get the money?" Zhang Feng said, "Is school a reason? Normally, it's enough for our Li family to raise him until he is 18 years old. We also need to support him to go to college. Others spend 4 years in college, but he spends 5 years in college. How much does it cost?" Li Shulan said, "What does it have to do with you? Have you ever paid a dime?" Zhang Feng said, "How does it have nothing to do with me? Spending the old man's money is equal to spending our family's money." Zhao Haili said, "Exactly. I think the old man is really confused. He has money for an outsider instead of his own grandson." Li Shulan was really angry by these people's shamelessness. She was trembling all over and couldn't say a word. "Aunt, take a rest. You don't have to be angry with these people." Qin Haodong pulled Li Shulan back and handed her to Wang Rubing. He looked back at Li Chang and Li Kai. These bastards bullied him in the past, but they were also unfilial to the old man and had no sense of affection for his aunt. This kind of people must be punished. And for those who were greedy for money, the biggest punishment was to make them lose their property. "I came back this time to repay my grandparents' kindness, such as giving Grandpa 1 million yuan to renovate this clinic and build it into the best traditional Chinese medicine clinic in Wufing County." As soon as he finished speaking, the people in front of him burst into laughter as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. They rocked back and forth with laughter. Li Shulan thought that Qin Haodong was going to take 1 million yuan out of the 3 million yuan that Bai Wenjie compensated, so she didn't feel surprised. She couldn't help but say, "What are you laughing at? What Haodong said is true." Li Cheng laughed enough and said, "Are you kidding me? How can he have money? Only silly women like you will be fooled." Li Kai said, "That's right. He is a wild child who doesn't even want his parents. If it weren't for our Li family, he would have starved to death. How could he take out 1 million yuan?" Qin Haodong's expression didn't change at all. As expected, these 2 bastards were fooled. He said, "If I can really take out 1 million yuan, what will you say?" Li Cheng said, "Boy, you can only fool silly women and old fools. How can you fool me? As long as you can take out 1 million yuan, I will immediately kowtow to you and admit my mistake." Li Kai followed and said, "Count me in. As long as you can take out the money, I will also kowtow to you and admit my mistake." Qin Haodong's eyes became colder when he saw these 2 unfilial sons scolding their grandparents and aunt as fools. "I don't want you to kneel down and apologize. How about making a bet? If I take out 1 million yuan now, you will give up the inheritance of this house. Do you dare to bet?" When it came to the inheritance of the house, Li Cheng immediately hesitated. He had been eyeing the old man's house for a long time. How could he be willing to give it up? Li Kai said indifferently, brother. You are also in your 50s. How can you be scared by a yellow-haired child? Even if you beat him to death, he can't take out 1 million yuan. Li Cheng thought about it and agreed. They knew Qin Haodong's background very well. How could an orphan who didn't even know who his parents were and a poor student who had to work during holidays get 1 million yuan? However, he still said, we can bet. There is nothing to be afraid of, but what will you bet with us? Qin Haodong said, aren't you afraid that Grandpa will give me the house? If I lose, not only will I not give up the house, but I will also persuade Grandpa to give it to you immediately. After listening to him, Li Cheng and Li Kai's eyes lit up. What they were most afraid of now was that the house would fall into Qin Haodong's hands. If Qin Haodong promised to give up, he would be confident. Li Kai rolled his eyes and said, it's still a little unfair to us. It's our Li family's money. If you lose, give us an IOU of 1 million yuan. If you agree, we will bet with you. He knew that Qin Haodong studied medicine. Although he was a little poor now, he would earn a lot of money every year after graduation. If he wrote an IOU now, he would definitely be able to get money in the future. No problem. Qin Haodong agreed readily. Zhang Feng said, it's not enough to just talk about such a big thing. You must write it down. Zhao Haili added, and you must take out the money today. You can't go out to borrow money or get a loan. They tried their best to block Qin Haodong's loopholes. No problem. Do as you say. Qin Haodong agreed again. Wang Rubing secretly said in his ear, little brother, you can't be impulsive. Now the bank is closed. You can't withdraw money even if you want to, and such a large amount of money must be withdrawn in advance. Don't worry, sister. I know what I'm doing, Qin Haodong said. At this time, Li Cheng had already fetched a pen and paper as fast as possible, as if he was afraid that Qin Haodong would go back on his word. He knew that the court would not support the bet, so he wrote it down in the form of an agreement. Do you think it's okay? If you agree, let's sign it. Li Cheng sent the written agreement to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong looked at it and had to say that the agreement was very well written. It was very strict. As long as both sides signed it, no one could go back on their word. He secretly laughed in his heart. What did it mean to be caught in a trap of one's own making? What did it mean to shoot oneself in the foot? These people would know that they were looking for trouble later. No problem. Let's sign it together. The agreement was made in 5 copies. Qin Haodong not only signed it himself, but also asked Li Cheng, Li Kai, Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili to sign it. Taking the agreement in his hand, Li Cheng smiled proudly and then said, well, the agreement has been signed. You can take the money. Li Kai said, boy, you can deceive old men and old women, but you're too young to deceive us. Now you know what it means to go for wool and fail. Chapter 110. Li Shulan held a bank card in her hand and said, I can testify for Dong. There's 3 million in this card. Li Cheng looked at her disdainfully and said, little sister, you're in your 40s. Why did you learn to cheat? Why don't you say there's 30 million in a card? How did I cheat? There's 3 million from Dong in this card. Li Shulan blushed. She tried hard to explain, but Li Cheng waved his hand impatiently and said, well, even if there's 3 million in your card, what's the use? We've just written it in the agreement that the 1 million must be in cash. No matter how much money is in the card, it doesn't count. The other 3 nodded. They didn't believe that there was 3 million in Li Shulan's card. They thought she just wanted to help Qin Haodong get away with it. Li Shulan looked at Qin Haodong and whispered anxiously, Dong, what should we do now? Aunt, don't worry. I'm prepared. After saying that, Qin Haodong walked to the door, opened the door, and drove the black Honda that was parked at the door in front of Li Cheng and the others. After getting out of the car, he opened the back door and took out a box of Maotai. Everyone looked at Qin Haodong and didn't know what he was going to do. Zhang Feng sneered and said, what? You don't mean the money is in this box, do you? Qin Haodong ignored her. He tore open the box of Maotai and took out a bottle of Maotai. He looked up and said to Li Chang, "Uncle, Grandpa raised me for so many years. I've always called you that since I was a child. Today is the last time I call you that. Since you don't care about the family relationship with Grandpa, I won't recognize you as an uncle anymore." Li Chang curled his lips and said with disdain, "Do I care? It's better that there's no relationship between us. From now on, you don't know me and I don't know you. That's the best. Let's end it today." Qin Haodong raised the Maotai in his hand and said, "Although I've been an outsider in your eyes since I was a child and you've been sneering at me, I've prepared a gift for you this time for the sake of Grandpa. I know you love to drink. You should recognize this, right? It's a 15-year bottle of Maotai, priced at 7,680 yuan per bottle. This box of wine was originally meant for you, but now it seems like there's no need for it at all." After that, he raised the bottle in his hand and smashed it hard on the ground. With a crisp sound, the Maotai was smashed into pieces. The liquor splashed everywhere, and a strong aroma of wine drilled into everyone's nostrils. Then, he picked up the remaining 5 bottles of wine and smashed them on the ground one by one. With the shattering of these bottles, it also marked that he no longer had any relationship with Li Chang. Li Chang didn't expect that Qin Haodong would bring him such expensive Maotai, and he didn't expect it to be smashed into pieces in the blink of an eye. Seeing the good wine flowing on the ground, he was so distressed that he stamped his feet and wanted to lie on the ground. Lick. Everyone else was stunned. No one had expected that Qin Haodong would be so straightforward. A bottle of Maotai was worth more than 7,000 yuan, and 6 bottles added up to nearly 50,000 yuan. How could he just throw it away like that? Zhang Feng said, "Honey, don't believe him. I don't believe that a poor boy like him would spend 40,000 or 50,000 yuan to buy you wine. This must be fake wine to cheat you." Li Cheng grinned and didn't speak. He knew very well whether the wine was real or fake. He loved drinking the most in his life. Although he had never drunk such a good Maotai, he could smell from the strong aroma of the wine that it was definitely the real Maotai. After finishing the box of Maotai, Qin Haodong turned his hand and took a box of cigarettes from the back seat of the car. He looked up and said to Li Kai, "Second uncle, this is also the last time I call you that. I know you like smoking, so I brought you a box of Chunghua cigarettes this time. These cigarettes cost 1,000 yuan each, and 50 cartons cost 50,000 yuan in total. Now let's make an end of it." After that, he took out a lighter and directly lit the box of Chunghua cigarettes. Then a raging fire ignited, and the box of cigarettes worth 50,000 yuan was burned. The aroma of Chunghua cigarettes and the aroma of Maotai just now mixed together, filling the whole courtyard. Li Kai was dumbfounded. Whether it was a whole box of Chunghua cigarettes or 50,000 yuan, it was enough to make him feel distressed. Li Shulan believed Qin Haodong's words. Seeing that 100,000 yuan was burned in the blink of an eye, she felt distressed and said, "Dong, it's not worth it." Qin Haodong smiled indifferently and said, "Anyway, I have called them uncles for so many years. 100,000 yuan is nothing to make an end of it." After that, he took out 2 bags with LV logo from the back seat of the car and said to Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili, "These years, you two have called me a bastard in front of and behind my back. But after all, you are the daughters-in-law of the Li family. This time I also prepared a gift. These 2 are genuine LV bags, 20,000 yuan each. Now I don't need them at all." Zhang Feng usually likes shopping in luxury stores. Although she couldn't afford it, it was good to have a look. At this time, she recognized that these 2 were genuine LV bags at a glance. She quickly said, "Dong, since you bought it, give it to us. Don't waste it." "Give it to you?" Qin Haodong smiled coldly and said, "Women like you who are mean, don't know filial piety, and only have money in their eyes, might as well burn them." After that, he shook his hand and the 2 bags fell into the fire of the Chunghua cigarettes. Soon they were burned into a pile of coke. Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili were so distressed that they couldn't wait to rush into the fire and fish out the 2 bags. At this time there was a faint regret in their hearts. They didn't know how Qin Haodong had so much money and why he bought such good gifts for them. But it was too late to regret now. Qin Haodong took out 2 of the latest fruit mobile phones and waved them in front of Li Cheng and Li Kai. And my 2 cousins, although they bullied me, beat me and scolded me since I was a child, I still prepared 2 mobile phones for them. Let's burn them too. Soon the 2 mobile phones also fell into the fire. Li Cheng licked his dry lips, swallowed his saliva and said, Qin Haodong, what do you mean? Are you showing off to us? Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully and said, It's not showing off and I don't need to show off to you. I've already said that it's just an end. From now on we have nothing to do with each other. Li Kai said, It's useless to do these things. Who are you fooling with a bunch of fake things? Although he was very clear in his heart that these things that Qin Haodong took out were absolutely not fake, he had to say so against his conscience for the sake of his face. Fake, right? Why don't you check if this is fake? After that, Qin Haodong opened the trunk of the Honda and took out 3 suitcases. He put them on the ground and opened them one by one. They were all colorful huaxia currency. Last time he sold a Xuanda sensor on the antique street, he got 30 million from Guofeng. Later, for convenience, he exchanged 5 million in cash and put it in the storage ring. Just now, he just took out 3 million under the cover of the trunk. He opened a suitcase and said, Grandpa and Grandma took care of me as their own since I was a child. I've always remembered it. This time I came back to renovate the clinic for them, so I prepared 1 million for them. Li Cheng and Li Kai were completely dumbfounded. They never dreamed that Qin Haodong could easily take out 1 million in cash. If that was the case, according to the agreement they had just signed, they would lose the right to inherit the old man's property. Li Shulan and Wang Rubing were also surprised, but soon they were surprised. They had always regarded Qin Haodong as the closest person. Naturally, they would be happy when their relatives were rich. It's impossible. It's impossible. How can a poor boy like you have so much money? Li Cheng said like crazy. He rushed over and grabbed the suitcase, took out the huaxia currency from it, and checked it stack by stack. Soon he sat on the ground dejectedly. The money was as real as the cigarettes and wine just now. There was no fake at all. Qin Haodong ignored them and sent the other 2 suitcases to Li Shulan and Wang Rubing respectively. Aunt, sister, I will remember your kindness to me these years. Take the money. It's a token of my appreciation. No, Dong, you can't take the money from me and your sister. Li Shulan quickly pushed the 2 suitcases back and said, You haven't married yet. There will be a lot of money in the future. You can keep the money to buy a suite in Jiangnan. Qin Haodong said, Aunt, you and sister can take it. I still have money and a house. Li Shulan's face changed and asked, Dong, tell me the truth. Where did the money come from? I tell you, no matter how poor we are, we can't do illegal things, and we can't go against our conscience. And what are you talking about? Don't you believe me? This money was definitely obtained in a clean and above-board manner. Qin Haodong put the 2 suitcases into Li Shulan's arms and said, You and sister must take the money, or you will treat me as an outsider. Seeing Qin Haodong's solemn words, Li Shulan said, Well, I will keep the money for you. You can ask me for money when you need it. Don't save it. You can spend it if you need it. I have more. Qin Haodong said and turned to look at Li Cheng and others. How about it? Did you see it clearly? Is it 1 million? Li Cheng said with a flattering face, Dong, it is indeed 1 million. But I was just joking with you. We are a family. How can we bet with this thing? Li Kai smiled like a chrysanthemum and said, Yes, yes, we are a family. How can we bet? It's just a joke. After that, the 2 of them threw the agreement in their hands into the fire. Zhang Feng and Zhao Haili also quickly took out the agreement in their pockets and threw it into the fire. Dong, I have long seen that you are promising. Please forgive me if I have wronged you before. Yes, Dong, if I have wronged you, just tell me. I promise I will change it immediately. Joke? Why didn't I see it? Qin Haodong sneered and took out the agreement on his body. This is signed by the 4 of you. It's legally binding wherever you take it. Now you can all go back. My grandfather's house has nothing to do with you anymore. Xiaodong, I told you that we are a family. We can discuss about the house. Li Cheng came to Qin Haodong with a charming smile and said, Dong, you are rich now. Your cousin is in urgent need of money for his wedding. Can you lend me 500,000? Chapter 111. Borrow money? Qin Haodong sneered and said, We've just made a clean break. From now on we have nothing to do with each other. Since you're strangers, why should I lend you money? Li Cheng said with a flattering face, Dong, I've already told you that it was just a joke. You can't take it seriously. We're still a family. You lost the bet. Now that I have some money, we're a family again? Qin Haodong looked at them with disgust and said, Grandpa has been kind and upright all his life. He has saved countless people. I really don't know how he gave birth to you two shameless things. Today I'm telling you to give up. Although I have a lot of money, I won't lend it to you even if I have to burn it. Looking at Qin Haodong's firm expression, Li Cheng realized that this young man couldn't be coaxed with a few words. It was impossible to borrow money. Since he couldn't get the money, there was no need for him to be humble. The smile on his face immediately disappeared. He pointed at Qin Haodong and scolded, Little bastard, don't think you're great just because you have some money. I don't care how much money you have. Li Kai also scolded, Yes, little bastard, you're a jinx. You've messed up our family like this. There's no way for you to occupy our property. While they were scolding happily, they suddenly felt a pain on their faces. After a series of banging sounds, they flew out. Li Cheng got up from the ground and couldn't believe what had happened in front of him. Qin Haodong had been respectful to them since he was a child. He didn't expect that he would hit them today. He covered his swollen cheek, pointed at Qin Haodong again and scolded, Little bastard, how dare you hit me? Before he finished speaking, Qin Haodong grabbed his collar and slapped him several times. Then he reached into his pocket and took out 3 or 4 stacks of 100 yuan bills and threw them back into the suitcase. Li Cheng had just secretly put the money into his pocket and thought that no one had seen it. In fact, it had been clearly seen by Qin Haodong. Li Kai got up from the ground. He wanted to curse a few words, but when he saw Li Cheng's fate and Qin Haodong's cold eyes, he was so scared that he swallowed his words and didn't dare to say anything. Qin Haodong said in a cold voice, I didn't have parents since I was a child, but not everyone can call me a bastard. I put up with you before because you are my uncle and second uncle. But now we have drawn a line and I don't have to put up with you anymore. If any of you dare to scold me again, you will end up like this table. After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he raised his hand and slapped a table next to him. The solid wooden square table was like a piece of paper under his hand. With a crash, it broke into pieces on the ground. Li Cheng looked at Li Kai and then at his wife Zhang Feng. Everyone's eyes were filled with horror. No one had expected that Qin Haodong, who used to be respectful to them, would be so strong and cruel after breaking up with them. Throw all the money in your pockets back to me. Don't wait for me to make a move. Then get out and don't let me see you again. Qin Haodong took a few steps forward in succession, and his body emitted a strong momentum to cover the 4 people in front of him. Although Li Cheng and others were rascals, they were just ordinary people. They had never seen such a momentum. They were so scared that they almost peed their pants. They took out the money hidden in their pockets and threw it back into the suitcase. Then they ran out of the yard in embarrassment. Just now, Qin Haodong was angry at the shamelessness of these people, and for a moment, he vented his long-suppressed emotions. When Li Cheng and the others ran out, he realized that after all, Qin Haodong was his grandpa's son. Had he gone too far? He couldn't help looking back at Li Qingshan and Zuolanji. Li Qingshan saw his mind and said, Little Dong, you taught them a good lesson. I wanted to teach them a lesson for a long time. Today you helped Grandpa. Zuolanji said, Yes, Little Dong, you beat them too lightly. You should break the legs of these 2 beasts. What the old couple said was not a lie. These years they had been completely disappointed with these 2 unfilial sons, and they were annoyed by them. Now seeing Qin Haodong help them solve the future trouble at one time, they were too happy. Only Li Shulan sighed, but she didn't say anything. Zuolanji said again, Little Dong, You can use the money to annoy those bastards. Take it back quickly. With the money you can buy a house in Jiangnan City. You will be more confident when you go on a blind date tomorrow. Li Qingshan also said, Shulan, take the money back to little Dong. We have been ashamed of his parents because we couldn't help him get married and buy a house. We can't take his money. When Li Shulan was about to take the 3 suitcases with 1 million yuan, she was stopped by Qin Haodong. He said to the old couple, Grandpa, Grandma, I earned this money to show my filial piety to you. Why do you return it to me? Do you still treat me as an outsider? Li Qingshan said, but, no buts. Qin Haodong immediately interrupted Li Qingshan, Grandpa, I still have a lot of money, enough for my own use. You must accept the money. Li Qingshan wanted to say something, but Zuolanji said, forget it, old man. Since it's our grandson's filial piety to us, we'll keep it. Li Qingshan thought about it and nodded. He didn't object anymore. At this time Qin Haodong's cell phone rang. He picked up the phone and glanced at it. It was Shi Kuahai, the director of the Public Security Department. He walked to the side and pressed the answer button. Director Shi, what's the matter? Shi Kuahai said, Dr. Qin, thank you so much last time. You not only cured my illness but also cured Wan Er. Qin Haodong said, you're welcome. I'm a doctor. It's my duty to save people. He knew that Shi Kuahai called him not just to thank him. As expected, Shi Kuahai said, Dr. Qin, I called you today not only to express my gratitude, but also to ask you to do it again. I have a good comrade who was injured in the army. His leg bone was broken into 3 pieces. Later, although it was connected, he always hurt badly. He went to a lot of hospitals but it didn't work. Recently, it became more and more serious, and it began to affect his walking. He heard from me that Dr. Qin's medical skills were superb, so he wanted to ask you to have a look at him. Qin Haodong was not surprised about this. Shi Kuahai's spine was definitely a difficult disease. He had been seeking medical treatment everywhere for many years, but it didn't work. Now that he was cured by Qin Haodong, it would bring a great advertising effect. There would definitely be people seeking medical treatment through his channel. He said, yes, but I don't have time now. I have to wait for a few days. Shi Kuahai said, Dr. Qin, can you treat him as soon as possible? It had better be today. Qin Haodong frowned. Although Shi Kuahai was the director of the Public Security Department, he was no different from ordinary patients in his eyes. As for the person who asked for medical treatment, it was just a leg pain. It was not a fatal disease. After so many years, it shouldn't be a big deal to wait for a few days. He said, is it that urgent? Hearing Qin Haodong's displeasure, Shi Kuahai hurriedly explained, Dr. Qin, to tell you the truth, my comrade is Li Changji, the secretary of the Discipline Inspection Commission of Jiangnan City. He is very upright and effective. The mayor of Jiangnan City just retired a few days ago. Now the position of mayor is still vacant. The organization has listed Li Changji as a key subject of investigation. They will send someone to talk to him soon. You know, it's important to inspect the health of cadres. If he goes to the talk with a lame leg, it will inevitably affect the impression of the leaders. So they are in a hurry to ask you to treat him. It seemed that his explanation was not enough. After a pause he said, Dr. Qin, I may not know others, but I know my comrade very well. He is very capable. Most importantly, he is honest and clean. If he can take over the position of mayor, it will be a good thing for all the citizens of Jiangnan City. So you must help him. Oh, that's it. Qin Haodong's frowning brows relaxed, and his tone eased a lot. Well, I just returned to my hometown in Wufeng County at noon. If it's really that urgent, let him come over and I'll treat him. Shi Kuahai said happily, that's great, Dr. Qin. Thank you so much. Wufeng County is not too far away. We'll go there now. It's estimated that we can arrive in Wufeng County in more than an hour. After the treatment, let's have a good drink. After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong and Wang Rubing put the 3 suitcases into the safe of the clinic. After all, it was 3 million yuan. If it was seen by others, it would bring unnecessary trouble or even disaster to the Li family. As soon as they put the money in the safe, they suddenly heard a noise outside, shouting and the roar of the motor. Li Qingshan, hurry up and come out. I'll tear down your house if you're late. The shouts of a loudspeaker rang through the whole old street. Qin Haodong went outside and saw Li Qingshan and Zhuolangji standing at the door with the help of Li Shulan. Opposite the TCM clinic, there were about 100 or 200 people standing majestically. About half of these people were workers, and the other half were dressed in colorful gangster outfits. In front of them were two huge excavators. It seemed that they were here to demolish the house. In front of the excavator stood a short fat man with slicked back hair. And next to him was a skinny assistant with parted hair. Li Qingshan went to the door and shouted to the short fat man with slicked back hair. Hong Tumbao, what are you doing here? I've said that I won't move unless you build a new clinic for me. You have to be reasonable when you demolish. First of all, you have to make sure that I can treat my neighbors. Hong Tianbao said, Old Li, are you crazy because of poverty? We only care about demolishing and making money. What does it have to do with us whether you can treat people or not? Today I'm telling you for the last time. Sign the demolition agreement, and I'll give you 100,000 yuan immediately. If you say no again, I'll tear down your house immediately. You won't get a dime. The skinny assistant next to him whispered, Didn't the boss say 1 million? Are you sure you're not mistaken? Hong Tianbao smiled and said, 1 million was yesterday. Now only 100,000 yuan. If he doesn't agree, I'll tear down his house. Oh, got it, boss. The assistant naturally didn't know that today was a plan made by Hong Tianbao and Fu Haiken. They wanted to provoke Qin Haodong and then arrest him. As long as Qin Haodong was arrested and put in prison, he believed that Li Qingshan could immediately sign the demolition agreement. He would not pay more if he could save 1 million yuan. At this time, the neighbors of the old street heard the news and gathered around, standing behind Li Qingshan. Hearing that Hong Tianbao only gave 100,000 yuan for the demolition fee, everyone immediately angrily condemned. This Hong Tianbao is so black-hearted. Such a big yard only gives 100,000 yuan. Isn't this robbery, bastard? This is not a developer, it's a bandit. With so little money we can't move. Chapter 112. Li Qingshan said, I've already told you clearly that I don't want money. I just want you to build a new clinic for me. Fong Tianbao said, Old man, you're really old and muddle-headed. You dare to say anything. It seems that you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. I'll tear down your house today and see what you can do. How dare you? Li Qingshan was so angry by Hong Tianbao's rascal that his beard twitched. He said angrily, If you want to tear down my house, you have to step over my dead body today. The neighbors behind him also shouted, As long as we are here, don't even think about touching our house. Don't even think about touching Mr. Li. After that, the residents of the old street automatically moved forward and formed a circle, protecting Mr. Li in the middle. You won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Hong Tianbao sneered and waved his hand behind him. Teach these unruly people a lesson. After receiving the master's order, these gangsters immediately took out the steel pipes and iron bars that had been prepared and rushed to the villagers in front of them. Although the number of villagers was a little more than the gangsters, there were about 300 or 400 people. However, there were some women and the elderly and children left behind. They were unarmed. How could they be the opponents of these young and strong gangsters? As soon as the two sides touched, only 7 or 8 young and strong people were knocked down to the ground. Although the villagers were extremely angry at Hong Tianbao's robbing behavior, they were just ordinary people. They were usually well behaved, and some of them had never fought with anyone in their entire lives. How could they have ever seen such a situation? They immediately scattered in all directions and hid in their own homes. Looking at the villagers who were beaten away, Hong Tianbao smiled proudly and raised his hand to point to Li Qingshan. Teach this ungrateful old man a lesson. Soon as his voice fell, 7 or 8 gangsters rushed to Li Qingshan with iron bars and steel pipes. The leading gangster with yellow hair raised the iron bar in his hand and smashed it to Li Qingshan's head. Li Shulan was just behind Li Qingshan. They didn't expect that these gangsters really dared to fight with the old man. It was too late to stop them. They saw the yellow-haired gangster's iron stick was about to hit Li Qingshan's head. At the critical moment, a big hand stretched out and grabbed the punk's wrist. Then with a crack, the punk's forearm was broken into two. The yellow-haired gangster let out a heart-wrenching scream. But before he could see what was going on, he felt a sharp pain in his lower abdomen. His whole body seemed to be hit by a cannonball. He flew 7 or 8 meters away and fell heavily to the ground. Of course, it was Qin Haodong who rushed over. He held Li Qingshan's arm and said, "Grandpa, are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'm not afraid of these bastards. If you have the ability, then beat me to death." Old Master Li Qingshan had been upright all his life. He looked at Hong Tianbao with fire in his eyes. "Grandpa, don't worry. It's them who will die. They can't touch our house as long as I'm here." Qin Haodong handed the old man to Wang Rubing behind him and turned to look at Hong Tianbao. Hong Tianbao was secretly proud. It seemed that his plan had really succeeded. He shouted to the gangsters, "What the hell are you standing there for? Are you waiting to eat sh*t? Get your weapons together and teach this guy a lesson." The gangsters had just been frightened by Qin Haodong's skills. Now they came to their senses. Relying on their numbers, they roared and rushed to Qin Haodong together. Qin Haodong would not show mercy to these gangsters who bullied the villagers. He rushed into the crowd and punched and kicked them. Immediately afterward, these hooligans let out miserable howls and were all sent flying. Each and every one of them had their arms and legs broken. They were seriously injured. Good. Well done. These bastards, let them bully us. Seeing Qin Haodong beat these gangsters, Old Master Li Qingshan felt very happy. The nearby commoners who were watching from afar also cheered loudly. They already hated these hooligans to the core. Clap, clap, clap. Unexpectedly, Hong Tianbao also applauded. He walked a few steps to Qin Haodong and said with a sinister smile, "Boy, you are good at martial arts. It's useless to only know a few moves. The most important thing to do is to have a brain. This is a society governed by law. You've hurt so many of my people. Just wait to eat in prison." Soon as he finished speaking, a siren sounded. 4 police cars quickly drove to this side. More than a dozen policemen jumped out of the cars and quickly surrounded Qin Haodong. The leader was the director of the police station, Zhang Meng. As Fu Haiken's #1 henchman, he was naturally in charge of this kind of thing. Zhang Meng was also an experienced man. He still had to do some superficial work. He pretended to ask, "What's going on? Why are so many people injured?" Fong Tianbao said, "Director Zhang, I originally came with my staff to persuade the villagers to move today. Who knew that this guy rushed over and started beating people? He hurt more than a dozen of my people. Look at how badly they are injured. Their arms and legs are broken. They are all people with families and businesses. They have parents and children. You must uphold justice for my employees." Wang Rubing said angrily, "Nonsense. It's your men who beat us first and hurt more than a dozen of our villagers. How can you complain first?" Li Shulan also cried, "Yes, Hong Tianbao, why are you lying? Don't you have any shame?" Qin Haodong didn't say a word. He had more than 500 years of experience. From the moment Zhang Meng appeared, he already knew that this was a trap set for him. It was obvious that Hong Tianbao and Zhang Meng were in cahoots. Sure enough, Zhang Meng said with a sullen face, "You are all his family members. Of course you are on his side. Boss Hong, so many of your employees are injured. They are right here, but I don't see any injured villagers. It's very clear that Qin Haodong hurt people maliciously." Then he waved to the policeman behind him and said, "Take the murderer back to the police station." "No, you can't be reasonable," Wang Rubing said and stretched out her hands in front of Qin Haodong. "That's right. Whoever wants to arrest my grandson, arrest my old lady first," Zhualanji said and stood in front of the policeman trembling. Zhang Meng said, "Old lady, little girl, the fact is that Qin Haodong hurt more than a dozen people. Don't interfere with my normal law enforcement, or I will arrest you together." Arrest me together. I'm not afraid." As soon as Wang Rubing finished, she was pulled behind by Qin Haodong. Sister, you don't have to worry about this. I can handle it myself. P turned to Zhuolanji and said, Grandma, don't worry. I'll go to the police station to make things clear. I'll be back soon. I'll go on a blind date with you tomorrow. P, are you sure you didn't lie to me? The old lady said with some doubts. P, of course not. When have I ever lied to you since I was a child? P. Zhuolanji thought for a moment. Qin Haodong really didn't lie to her, so she didn't stop him. P. Zhongmeng and Hong Tianbao sneered secretly. They thought to themselves, if you want to come back for a blind date, you will stay in prison for 8 or 10 years. P. After comforting the old lady and Wang Rubing, Qin Haodong looked at Zhongmeng and said, Director Zhang, I advise you to think clearly when you do things. Otherwise, you can't afford the consequences if you do something wrong. P. Zhongmeng sneered and said, Well, I'd like to see what I can't afford. P. shouted to the 2 policemen next to him, Cuff him up and take him away. P. Qin Haodong didn't say anything. Since Zhongmeng wanted to die, he would send him on his way. He turned to Wang Rubing and said, 2 friends will come to me later. When they come, just tell them the truth. P. Wang Rubing nodded. Although she didn't know who Qin Haodong's friends were, her brother had brought her too many surprises since he came back. She didn't hesitate to do what Qin Haodong said. Pat this time, the 2 policemen had handcuffed Qin Haodong. Zhongmeng waved his hand and took Qin Haodong to the police car. He didn't take Qin Haodong into the police station. Instead, he took him directly to the interrogation room of the criminal squad of the County Public Security Bureau, because Fu Haiken was waiting there. After Qin Haodong left, Hong Tianbao strode to Li Qingshan and said with a sneer, Old man, your grandson has been arrested. Let's see how you fight against me this time. P. Zhuolanji said, Little bastard, don't be proud. My Xiaodong is just going to make it clear. He will be back soon. Be back. Hong Tianbao laughed arrogantly. After laughing enough, he said, To tell you the truth, your grandson won't be able to come back for 8 to 10 years. He hurt so many of my people. Even if he is sentenced to 1 year, he will stay in prison for more than 10 years. Besides, I have a lot of friends in prison. I will take special care of him. It's hard to say whether he can come out alive. P. Zhuolanji was stunned for a moment and then said, You're talking nonsense. My grandson told me that he will go on a blind date with me tomorrow. Fong Tianbao laughed and said, You're really an old fool. Can't you see that he's lying to you? No matter how powerful he is, can he be more powerful than a policeman's gun? So he can only be obedient. P. According to my original plan, as long as someone tries to stop me, I will arrest them together. I didn't expect that this guy has some brains. He even bluffed you with a few words. You got a big bargain. Fee this. Zhuolanji wanted to say something to refute, but she couldn't find a reason for a moment. At this time she realized that maybe, as Hong Tianbao said, Qin Haodong couldn't come out after going in. Pili Shulan was a teacher, so she knew something about the law. She had already believed most of Hong Tianbao's words. She said, Hong, what do you want? P, don't you know what I want? I, Hong Tianbao, am a businessman and businessmen want to make money. But now, your family is blocking my way to make money. I have already taken over the renovation project of the old street. If you delay it for a day, I will have to pay for a day's loss. If your old man doesn't move, others won't move, so I can't make money. P, if you want to save that guy, I can show you the way. Sign the moving agreement immediately. Director Fu of the County Public Security Bureau is my good brother. As long as I tell him, he can release Qin Haodong. Otherwise, you can wait to see him in prison. P. Wang Rubing said angrily, Is this all your plan? Fong Tianbao said with a smile, kind of. You are blocking my way to make money. If I don't find a way to deal with you, how can I live in Wufeng County? Pili Shulan didn't say anything. She turned her head to look at Li Qingshan. Of course, this kind of thing could be decided by the old man. Pili Qingshan was silent for a moment, and finally said, Give it to me. I will sign it. But you have to promise that my grandson will come back tonight. Fong Tianbao was overjoyed. It seemed that his method really worked. As long as Li Qingshan's family moved away, there would be no more obstacles to the relocation of the old street. He waved his hand, and the skinny assistant next to him took a moving agreement and sent it to Li Qingshan. Li Qingshan took the agreement and looked at it. Then he said angrily, "You only give me 50,000 yuan for such a big yard? P. Chapter 113. Li Shulan glanced at the number on the contract and cried, "Didn't you just say 100,000? 1 million is yesterday's price, 100,000 is just now, and 50,000 is now. And it will only last for 5 minutes. If you don't sign the contract within 5 minutes, there will only be 30,000. Hong Tianbao said with a treacherous face, "I'm telling you there's not much time. If Qin Haodong is sent to prison, you can't save him even if you give him 1 million. Don't hesitate. I've already found out that he's still a college student. He's likely to become a doctor in the future. Think about how much money a doctor can earn in a year. Don't ruin his life because of this small profit. It'll be too late for regrets." Li Shulan glanced at Hong Tianbao again and said, "But what if you still don't let Dong go after we sign the agreement?" Hong Tianbao said, "I'm also a gangster. Credibility is the most important thing. Since I said it, I will do it. And now the situation is right here, you have no other choice. If you don't believe me, you cannot sign the agreement. In that case, Qin Haodong really has no hope at all." Li Qingshan didn't hesitate anymore. He directly took the pen, signed his name on the agreement, and then pressed his fingerprint. "I hope you can keep your word and let my grandson out." Hong Tianbao took the agreement and looked at it. He put it in his pocket like a treasure and said with a sinister smile, "Don't worry, I won't let you down." Then he waved his hand and left with his people. The skinny assistant whispered in his ear, "Boss, are we really going to help to let that guy out?" Feng Tianbao scolded, "Are you fucking crazy? We've got the agreement. Why do we still do that stupid thing? And this guy is very important. He offended the director of the Public Security Bureau, Fu Haiken. It's impossible for him to get out." The skinny assistant quickly said with a flattering face, "I know, boss. You're so smart. You only spent 50,000 to get the agreement." In the Li family, Li Qingshan and his wife returned to their room dejectedly. Li Shulan asked, "Dad, what if they really don't let Dong go after signing the agreement?" Li Qingshan sighed and said, "Hong is right. Do we have any other choice? We can't just watch Lil Dong go to jail and do nothing." Wang Rubing said, "Grandpa, I think we've been fooled by Hong. My brother is fine at all." Li Shulan said, "Children talk nonsense. As soon as Dong came back, he cleaned up by Wenjie and offended the director of the Public Security Bureau. Now he has hurt so many people. How could he be fine?" Wang Rubing said, "I don't know exactly. Anyway, I feel that if my brother says he's fine, then he's fine." While they were talking, 2 black Audi A6s stopped in front of the door. 4 or 5 people got out of the cars, led by 2 middle-aged men in their 50s. One was wearing a police uniform and had a straight figure, and the other was wearing a jacket. His right leg was a little limp when he walked, but it did not affect His Majesty at all. They were Shi Kuai, the head of the Public Security Department of Jiangnan Province, and Li Changji, the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection of Jiangnan City. They found this place according to the location sent by Qin Haodong. Shi Kuai didn't see Qin Haodong after he entered the door. He asked politely, "Is this Dr. Qin Haodong's home?" Bai Rubing immediately saw that these 2 people were unusual. She greeted them according to Qin Haodong's instructions and said, "Are you my brother's friends?" Shi Kuai said, "Yes, we are Dr. Qin's friends." Bai Rubing was happy and said, "My brother was taken away by the police." "What? Taken away by the police?" Shi Kuai was surprised and asked, "What the hell is going on?" Bai Rubing was eloquent. She quickly told Shi Kuai what had just happened and what happened this afternoon. Then she said, "My brother asked me to tell you all this before he left. You are his friends. Can you save my brother? Shi Kuai and Li Changji's faces were gloomy and scary. They didn't expect that such a lawless thing would happen in Wufeng County. As the head of the Public Security Department and the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection of Jiangnan City, it made them feel ashamed. Shi Kuai said, "Don't worry. Leave Dr. Qin to us. We will give you a satisfactory result." Then he said to Li Changji, "Old Li, let's go to the police station now. It's not enough for us to go alone." Li Changji said, "There are a lot of people involved in this matter. I will call the head of Wufeng County now and ask him and the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection to come here together. No matter who is involved, we must investigate it to the end." Shi Kuai thought about it and felt that what Li Changji said made sense. Their positions were too high, so it was not convenient for them to intervene directly. They left the Li family together. Li Changji called the head of the county, Zhao Yang, and the secretary of the Commission for Discipline Inspection, Yu Shujiang, and asked them to gather in front of the clinic immediately. Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang were shocked when they received the call. They didn't know what happened. Li Changji had always been known for his fairness and iron fist. It was said that he was going to take over as the mayor of Jiangnan City. It was not a small thing that he called in person. No matter what they thought, they didn't dare to delay. After receiving the call, they immediately rushed to the door of Jisher Traditional Chinese Medicine Clinic. After getting out of the car, when they saw Shi Kuai and Li Changji standing side by side at the door, they couldn't help but feel shocked. These two great masters, one was a real director-level cadre, and the other was going to be promoted to the director level. It must be a big thing that could alarm these two people together. "Director Shi, Secretary Li, we're here. Please give us instructions." Shi Kuai looked at them but didn't say anything. Although he had a high rank, he was not their supervisor after all. It was best to let Li Changji deal with this matter. Li Changji said coldly, "Head of the county secretary Yu, let me ask you. Is Wufeng County still under the control of the Huaxia government? Is there any law?" Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang couldn't help but shiver. It was such a big hat. They didn't know what made Secretary Li so angry. "Secretary Li, if there is anything wrong with our work, please criticize and correct us," Zhao Yang said. A mine manager, because he gave birth to 3 daughters in a row, went to an old Chinese medicine doctor to ask for the secret of giving birth to a son. The doctor refused, so he asked his hooligans to smash the whole clinic. And the police didn't care about all this, just because his brother-in-law is the director of the Public Security Bureau. Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang looked at each other, and then they knew that it had something to do with Fu Haiken. At the same time, they cursed 18 generations of his ancestors in their hearts. How could he cause such a big trouble for them? That's not all. The real estate developer Hong Tianbao in your county wanted to develop this street. The Chinese medicine clinic was originally a commercial network on the street, and he asked the developer to build another Chinese medicine clinic. This condition is not high, is it? But the developer named Hong Tianbao not only didn't agree, but also hired some hooligans to do the forced demolition. As a result, the hooligans who beat people were ignored, and Dr. Qin, who upheld justice, was arrested by the police station. What kind of reason is this? Which law is enforced? Speaking of this, Li Changji's voice became stern. He pointed back to the Chinese medicine clinic and said, "In the end, the Chinese medicine clinic was forced to sign a demolition agreement for 50,000 yuan. Such a big yard, would you sell it for 50,000 yuan?" Zhao Yang and Yu Shujiang were also experienced in officialdom. Hearing this, they immediately understood the key of the problem. Although the things Li Changji said were really very serious, the most important thing was Dr. Qin. Who on earth was this Dr. Qin? How could he invite these two great Buddhas? This made them very confused. Zhao Yang said, "Director Shi, Secretary Li, this kind of lawless thing happened in our Wufeng County. As a local official, I really have an unshirkable responsibility. Secretary Yu and I will go back and investigate it. We must find out the truth." Shi Kuai said, "Don't go back. Now Dr. Qin is still in the police station. Let's go and see what's going on." Zhao Yang thought to himself, as expected, the problem is still Dr. Qin. I really don't know who he is. But one thing is sure, Fu Haiken and Hong Tianbao will be in big trouble this time. After they finished talking, they turned around and were about to get in the car. At this time, someone behind them said, "Can I go with you?" Wang Rubing just felt that Shi Kuahai and Li Changji were not ordinary people. After they went out, she had been secretly watching them in the house. Then she was surprised to find that the county magistrate Zhao Yang was very respectful to these two people. It could be seen that they were big shots. Although she didn't know how her brother made such friends, she cared about Qin Haodong. So when she heard that Shi Kuahai was going to the police station, she ran out. Shi Kuahai looked back and found it was Qin Haodong's sister. He directly agreed, "Get in the car." Zhang Meng sent Qin Haodong to the Municipal Public Security Bureau and then returned to the police station happily. In his view, no matter what, he had done a great service for Fu Haiken. Now there was a vacancy of the deputy director of the County Public Security Bureau. As long as he could satisfy Fu Haiken, he had already sat on the position of deputy director. Not only this, he had done such a big favor for Hong Tianbao. There must be a lot of benefits for him. At least he could get a suite. It was ridiculous that the toy boy even threatened him and said that he would regret it. How could he regret such a great thing that could make him promoted and rich? When he was daydreaming, a young policeman rushed in and said breathlessly, "Director, there are a few people downstairs and they want to see you." Zhang Meng said impatiently, "Don't panic. Don't you see it's time to get off work? Tell them to come tomorrow if they have something to do." The young policeman said, "Director, one of them is Director Shi of the Public Security Department, the other is Magistrate Zhao of our county, and I don't know the other two. No matter who they are, tell them to get out. Don't you know it's time to get off work?" Zhang Meng suddenly realized something and jumped up from the chair. He asked nervously, "Who are you talking about? Who are they?" "Director Shi, Magistrate Zhao, and I don't know the other two, but they seem to be big leaders." Before the young policeman finished speaking, Zhang Meng ran to the door in a hurry. At this time, his heart was already in his throat. So many big leaders came to his small police station. Did it have something to do with that guy? But then he thought it was unlikely. He knew the background of the traditional Chinese medicine clinic very well. How could he know the county magistrate and the director of the public security department? You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.